All right, I'm going to take a minute and hopefully Bethany will show up.
Okay, we're live.
Okay. This is the start of the May 27, 2021 HPARB Review Board meeting. So we'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 13th, 2021?
So moved.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That was Steve and myself. Old business, 11 Carver Street, please.
Mark, are you here? Mark?
What's that noise?
I think someone's cutting their grass.
Oh,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
how are you, Mark?
Okay, good. Hi. Carrie, thanks for all the help. You're wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody know who has the lawnmower going? And if you do have it, could you please mute yourself? Thank you.
Okay, 11 Carver, we left it off where we wanted to see some plantings along the cabana and to take care of the grading so it's not showing that all the water is going into the pool. So the only thing that I see is that you bubbled out saying that there are some boxwood. So I'm willing to go to the board and take out the pool and talk about the cabana as an item to vote on tonight.
So, Dean, I reached out to Mr. Clinton earlier today, and I wasn't able to get in touch with him, and he is not available for the meeting. So I did speak with Mark just a little while ago, and he does know the amount of trees that are going to be planted. And of course, he does not want all of the water flow to go into his pool. So he will see about getting that fixed from his architect.
So I still stand my statement. The plan should show how many boxwood, like a plant list that we asked for, and the grading should be right. It really does not look okay. And I do not want to stamp off on a plan that's not correct. And it's an easy fix, and I did bring it up at the last meeting as a housekeeping issue. So I am happy to go to the board and vote on the architecture if this person would like to.
We already went and approved the architecture. We're here. That's why we're here back here today, is to do the landscaping. So
I make a motion to table 11 Carver Street. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you very much. 8 Dartmouth, did you say they would like to adjourn tonight, Karen?
yes.
I make a motion to adjourn 8 Dartmouth. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that was Val and myself.
Mhm.
143 Madison Street, please.
No.
They don't want to be, they've deferred it.
No,
Good afternoon, John Borkwin, O'Shea Marston Bruin, for the applicant on 143 Madison Street, David and Leeny
Just
Spongeller.
say
Okay, great.
they want, applicant wants to defer.
I'm not sure what's going on. Can someone tell me what's going on?
I have no idea.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gomolka, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, John Borkwin, O'Shea Marston Bruin, 250 North Sea Road, on behalf of applicants David and Leeny Spongeller, owners of 143 Madison Street.
Okay, great. I'm not going to go through that whole dissertation that you provide for us, but our counsel and our historian reviewed your documents, and I'm going to depend on them to elaborate on to the board. Zach,
Yeah.
reading through the, we've been to the site 4 or 5 times now.
Yes.
I'm pretty resolved in the findings. And Zach, how do you feel about what was presented?
Well, I think this is a very reasonable response to our last site visit, which had to do with really specifying the conditions of the shingles that actually needed repair or replacement, as opposed to the entire walls, all 4 walls, which had been the original proposal. So, and I think they've done a good job. It's a little sketchy. Of course, as these things are, circling photographs is a little less than specific in terms of elevation drawings, but I think that would not be necessary here. My only concern that I need to share with the board would be that in approving this as presented, in which large areas are circled with a ballpoint pen, could potentially present a predicament to the building inspector when he goes to verify what is the scope of the work that's been done, because one course of shingle leads to another. And you may observe that the areas that are of most critical interest in terms of the shingle siding is the decorative band of 3 that are variegated, that are quite distinctive. And so I want to be sure that our inspector realizes that this approval would be conditional upon the applicant limiting their work to the areas that are most critically important. When you look at these pictures, the upper of the 3 courses is in no way damaged by any and does not need to be replaced. And that's really the intent of the approval.
So would we go forth with having our council come up with a resolution? You and council will work something out, and
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
the applicant, would you be okay with, I'm going to go through the board and see how they feel about this as well, but I think the resolution would be having a resolution drawn up and
So I just want to, I mean, I understand this and I'm willing to do my best to do that. I do want to state that it is possible in trying to remove the second row here, for example, some of the upper 3rd row may get damaged. I'll do my best not to, but I can't guarantee that every single 3rd row shingle will.
Well, then I want to jump in and insist that the board would need to know what the qualifications are of the contractor, because there's absolutely no reason that that upper course of shingle couldn't be saved. It's all to the skill of the contractor, and the board has no control over that, nor does the building inspector. And so some standard needs to be set. And if that standard is higher, than the skill level of the contractor, then that contractor is not qualified.
Zach, that's why I qualified this with this potential approval of the
Fine.
resolution. So if you decide to go beyond what we state in the resolution that's acceptable, someone like the building inspector will have to go out and take a look. You'll have to stop and someone will have to come out and take a look.
Fine. Okay, that's fair.
Run now.
So now, just to clarify, Mr. Studenroth,
Yes.
I see we have 3 rows. We're talking about the 3rd row. Is it
Well, just let me just jump in. I am not limiting my observation to that upper row. I'm saying, for example, that top row is in no way damaged. It's possible that the middle row is not. So what we're looking at here is a qualified contractor that can make that distinction and preserve as much as reasonably possible, which is more than what is circled in that picture, for example.
Okay, so applicant, what we're going to do with our consultant and our historic consultant and our attorney will come up with a resolution for your review, and we can vote on approving making alterations to this home based upon the resolution, and you of course have a chance to reject.
Okay.
Mr. Gomulka, do you know just a ballpark of if we could get just the draft resolution and review that before any meeting on same?
So for instance, if we vote that our historian and our council come up with this resolution saying exactly that. You know, you can only go so far. If you go beyond that because someone says, well, we got, you know, we're finding rot all over the place. There's a stopping point at what's circled there. Like he pointed out, that third row seems to be intact. So that will be spelled out in the resolution. So if we approve that tonight, get this meeting out of the way and you have an approval. Once you get that resolution, you decide, well, we don't like it, then you can come back and we can do this again at the next meeting.
Okay, understood. And while we're here tonight, I know that my applicant and client also wants to discuss some possibilities of replacing in kind the porch structure on the east elevation of the structure.
And I know this is something I've not raised previously in the process of meeting with the painter and otherwise. I mean, it's not that it's not safe today, but I'm concerned on a maintenance basis that, you know, it's 30 or it's around 30. I don't know how years. It was there when I inherited it. It's here when I first came. So it's probably 30 years old. It doesn't look that attractive. I would like to try to make the two railings match, for example, and, you know, but otherwise basically replace it in kind. More as a safety, long-term safety concern than any current. I view it as a maintenance issue. I don't view it as a historical issue, but I wanted to raise it with the board.
So what we could do is, as well, we need that photograph, but we can have Zach go out there and put that, write that as part of the resolution.
Sure.
And we can move this along tonight if you, we can, it's a starting point anyway.
Absolutely.
So applicant, how do you feel about going forward with asking the board if this would be okay to go to a vote regarding the resolution?
As far as I'm going to get tonight, so I'm okay with it.
Val, comments?
I'm okay with that if my client is as well, obviously.
Val Florio. Val, we
You're
can't hear you.
muted. Val, you're muted.
I said this resolution sounds like a good path in moving forward.
Right. Judith?
It sounds good. I rely on Zach and the lawyers to spell it out.
And it's Harry,
Practically
right?
shingle by shingle.
Bethany, are you on board?
I'm good. I'm good with the resolution.
Bob?
I'm good with the resolution.
Steve?
I'm also good with the resolution.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve 143 Madison as stated, attaching a resolution to this restoration?
So moved.
I'll second.
That's Steve and Val. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you.
Thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you all.
58 Hillside Drive East. Hillside Drive East.
I don't see her on.
I make a motion to take second call 58. All in favor?
Okay.
Well, we don't have to do that, but we're just gonna second call it. 70 John
Okay.
Street. We could probably move on this.
Hello,
Oh, Pam is,
Billy Mack here. If you guys can hear me
we
on
can.
70 John Street.
Can you walk us through your project, please?
I'm sorry.
Can you tell us about your project?
Sure. Billy Mack, First Coastal, West Hampton Beach, representing the applicants for 70 John Street. It's a stairway
Do you
bluff.
have a graphic, sir?
Pardon me?
Do you have a graphic?
Sure, if I can share my screen. Or
You
you
can go
guys
ahead.
can pull up the application.
You can screen share if you'd like.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. See if that is it. Oh, I gotta do a little system sharing here. Okay, it may make me quit out and come back in order to.
I
let me
can
see.
I
Let
can
me
pull
see.
up. Let me see
Yeah.
what we have.
Okay, I was going to share the same thing that I submitted to you guys. Thank you. Oh, I can describe it while she's pulling it up. The 70 John Street is in the Cove area on the south side of Sag Harbor Cove, upper Sag Harbor Cove, and a small little lagoon area. And the particular shoreline has about a 6 foot, 5 to 6 foot elevation change from the bottom of the bay to the top of the bluff that is on that property. And they would like to access the bay, and the best way to access the bay is with a set of stairs that would be built consistent with all the other regulations from the DEC to the village wetlands to the Southampton trustees. And it's essentially a simple set of stairs that go down. It's 4 feet wide by an overall length of 20 feet, with 2 sets of stairs and 2 platforms. There we go.
So
Thank you very much.
we're an aesthetic board, and why this got kicked back a couple times because we got the stick figure drawing without telling us what's involved. So if you could just walk through the materials, this is a very simple thing. It seems very reasonable, but
Yeah.
as an aesthetic board, just talk about the members that.
Absolutely. Sure. So the construction materials are mostly tropical hardwoods, and that's what's required because they just don't rot away. And to describe that, it would be something similar to mahogany. Those were used for all the supporting and structural components. The decking material is required to have a 50% light penetration so vegetation can grow. The sensitive wetland vegetation can grow through and get light through the decking material. And that's a standard decking or dock tread that is used on most all new docks in the area. So it's a low profile. The only railings that are proposed are for the stairs.
So I asked for this to be called out. So we got the 4x4s as a post, and all the wood members are called out, the 2x6s, the handrails, all these good things that I asked for. So this has been supplied to us. Is there a motion to approve 70 John Street as submitted?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
So
you,
that's
board
Bethany
members.
and Steve. Thank you.
Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Dean, 58 Hillside Drive just signed in.
Okay, 58 Hillside Drive, please.
Pam, are you there? Pam? Oh, there she is. You're muted, Pam.
Sorry, I must have clicked the unmute 5 times, so sorry.
There you are. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Sorry
Good.
about that.
So can we share a screen?
I'm going to pull it up in one moment. There you go.
Okay, so I was joined by Bethany at the site, and we met the architect, and we asked for a grading plan that would make this work. So she can speak to this, but what we were asking for on this site is to label on this plan what existing trees are to remain and which ones are to be removed, which is really important. And then we got an elevation height for the pool, but we don't have the walkout on the structure itself. And then some of the contour concept seems like it would work really well, but the contours don't make sense, which is super important on a 45-degree angle slope. And I think some of the existing trees will be clipped. It's really important that that grading design is presented to us. And then I think there are about 9 trees for screening the neighbors in the like 6 to 8 feet. I think groupings of 3. We walked around the site and we saw some windows of neighboring sites. And maybe just one tree alone is not going to suffice to block out, a neighboring window. So maybe groups of 3 in those areas we picked out. And then on that south side where you have all those steps going down, it's rather flat going all along that south side. You could save that tree. You could have those steps as well. But if that grading plan could flesh that out, that would be super helpful, because what you're showing here is like a 4-foot difference where an existing grade is and a new grade. It's not meshing together, which is problematic in stamping something approved.
Well, the survey that I got, the gray, the contours in gray represent the contours from the surveyor. And unfortunately, I'm not 100% convinced about their contours, which makes it really difficult because they are surveyors and they're supposed to be correct. So I tried my hardest to work with them, and we've set the pool level at 48, which is at the very low end. And that way I don't have to, I'm not going to uproot any of the trees. So I'm trying really hard to keep it at that low level, because that's basically where most of the existing trees are. 2 of them we show that we're removing that are next.
But it's not depicted on this plan. For instance,
okay,
the middle existing tree, the ones that are to be saved should say that. You're filling in, like you're cutting in 2 feet onto it, and then that one on the bottom right corner, you're cutting into it 4 feet, so it's not going to make it. And then you don't have to have those steps on the south side if you're trying to save another tree. You could have those steps, but if you look at your contours that are proposed in the existing, they're like 4 foot. They're not connecting, and you're showing like 4 foot differences in grade, where there's no retaining wall along that south side. So as far as housekeeping is concerned, it's not a approvable plan the way it's presented to us today. And my only other comment, and this is my last comment, that where you have the existing trees, which are only 6 feet high, I think a grouping of 3 would be helpful. I mean, the 2 foot cherry laurels are just an aesthetic for the inside of the property. But when we talked about like a giant pool going in the backyard and you have all the neighbors, that view shed between the different properties is kind of important to us as far as kind of help mitigating that. So where the new structure opens up, that finished floor elevation, super important. And then the grading plan should be very important to you presenting it to us. It's.
Okay, so I'm a little confused because I feel like the grading plan works. So I am kind of confused about it, but because I feel like
I'm happy to meet you at the office in the village, and we can go through it. But you have a 50 and a 40, a 50 and a 54 next to each other, and they're not just, these things are not connecting. So I don't need to belabor this.
54 is the gray one, and 54 is the old one, and the 52 is the red one, is the new cut, because we've cut out a lot of the backyard to keep the pool at a flat level. So
okay, so we're not gonna figure this out tonight, obviously, but a new contour and existing contour need to meet somewhere, and that depicts how you're regrading the site, and it's not shown here correctly.
Okay.
Especially on that south side. So it's very difficult to, it's impossible to stamp something approved that's way off by 4 feet in a lot of cases. I'm happy to go with anyone can help out with it. Bethany?
I lost you a little bit. Can you still hear me?
Bethany, do you have comments?
I agree with you, and I feel that it should be tabled for this meeting.
Yep. Val?
I think it's very kind of you to offer to meet to make this work. So maybe let that happen and we'll vote in the future.
Yeah, I think this is a simple fix. It's really difficult to go forward at this moment, but this is not a big deal. Steve?
Well, I agree with Val. Your recommendation was very gracious, and the applicant should take advantage of it.
Bob?
I agree with what's been said.
Judith?
Yes, table.
Okay, Judith made the motion to table. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. 14 Rogers Street.
Excuse me a minute, could I just say, Carrie, I just got a frantic call from my neighbor, Paris Fields, and he can't get on Zoom. Is there some way you can help him?
Maybe he could come over to your house. That would work.
Or he could go down
Oh,
to
geez.
the municipal building.
Funny.
I feel his pain.
Yes.
Um,
Anyway, maybe you could phone him and walk him through it.
Well, we're in the middle of a meeting.
I know.
Okay, 14 Rogers Street, please.
Yep, Alex Stone here, owner. May I share screen?
Please.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
See the cover sheet.
Great. Okay, just to remind everyone, this is the house that we're talking about here. This is a picture from Google Maps. We spoke last meeting quite a bit about this house. We were a discussion item. We made some changes to the plans based on the recommendations of the board, and so I will show those to you here. If you'll recall, this house went through a pretty substantial renovation in 2008. We talked quite a bit about door placement in particular on the front of the house as well as foundation. And so I'll just move on to what those changes look like. On the right of the screen here is what we had proposed last time, moving the door to the front of the house and having stacked stone be the foundation. On the recommendations of this board and Mr. Studenroth, we are now going to be keeping the door exactly where it is now and making the foundation brick.
So could you just remind me where you stand with other boards?
Yes, we have our variances already. We got them about 3 months ago now.
And this is the last stop?
This is the last stop. Yep.
Gotcha.
And also to remind you all, none of what we're doing here expands the footprint of the house by a single inch. What we're doing is we are raising the house by 2 feet, and we're enclosing the existing and roofed and already partially enclosed porches. Mr. Gromolka had a comment about this particular elevation. These are the old pictures where we had a transom on the cellar level, which, as you can see from the new pictures here, we have since removed as well. And again, you'll see the brick foundation is what we continue all the way around. Everything else about the house remains exactly as it is. It's the cedar shingle and going with Anderson 400 windows. And that's basically.
Can you go back to the rear of the house because you did take out those transoms and that?
Yep.
So comments from the board regarding his revised layout of the windows, the lights?
Oh, and sorry, just one more thing just to remind, because sometimes it's easy to forget. This is the only way that you can somewhat see the the back of the house from the street. There's only like a little sliver where you can see it. We are going to be screening the back of the parking court here with a 6 to 8 foot hedge and a 6 foot pedestrian gate. So you will not be able to see the back from here, but just wanted to add that to remind the board.
Okay, Val, it looks like he took your thoughts to heart and he removed the transoms. Do you have any comments about the back of this house?
It's very nicely done. So relative to what we had before was quite busy. And I think this resolution looks clean, and the fact that it reads as a 1-story house from the street with a screening, it's quite good. Nice job.
Judith?
Yeah, I think it's good. He mentioned Anderson windows. I'm assuming those are the new windows in the new part of the house. You're not doing anything to the historic part.
So all of the windows were replaced in 2008. These are just some of the pictures you can see here. They're all 2008 windows. They're all Anderson windows already. I believe they're Anderson 200s. We're just going to be upgrading them to 400s, but the look of them will be, no different. But these were all replaced in 2008.
Right. Okay. No, I'm glad that you took everything to heart, and I think it looks quite fine.
Steve Williams?
Just to be, for my memory purposes, you are going to, the back porch is going to be rebuilt, right?
Rebuilt. Well, yeah, it's going to have to be torn off. The porches are going to be torn off in order to lift the house. But when we rebuild them, yeah, they're being rebuilt on exactly the same footprint that they are now.
Okay, thank you. I think it's fine.
Bethany?
Yeah, I agree with everyone. I think it's good. Good to
Bob?
go.
I think he's done a good job.
Well, this is a tough house to resurrect, and I think I give Zach the last word. It looks like we, with the owner, may have saved in a little piece on Rogers Street. What do you think, Zach? Got the seal out of the dirt?
Yeah, I think that's important. Of course, they're certainly entitled to lifting the house out of the outwash plane, so to speak. I do want to express one little construction detail that I haven't been proven wrong in the last 40 years, and that is that when a new foundation is put in, it is not designed correctly. It is too large. And when the applicant owner goes to face it with brick or stone, brick in this case, they find that the bricks do not fit properly to the siding. We saw that recently within the last month. And we ended up capitulating and agreeing that a veneer of 1/2-inch thick brick would be okay. So I would only remind the board that when the new foundation goes in, this happens every time. That the foundation be poured properly so that it is stepped, the concrete is stepped in such a way that real brick can be inserted and still permit the relationship from the foundation to the walls. It always happens.
Is this something that we can just, can you just provide us, it sounds pretty positive in your direction. Is there any way, is there a leeway to wait 2 more weeks and give us that foundation detail that notches out to a company?
Val could provide a very clear, it's a very simple thing. It's simply about measuring the pour of the foundation such that it is stepped in and it allows for a full course of brick to face it so that it comes up in relation to the walls of the building. And I don't know why this always happens, but it's always wrong.
Zach, I'm negotiating here.
Yeah. No, I'm saying the drawing is correct. The drawing is correct, but your board doesn't monitor the construction process. And in the construction, they get it wrong. So I don't know how to fix that.
Can we just iron this out? In your foundation detail, is it showing the notch in the foundation wall to accommodate brick a couple courses below grade?
I don't think we saw that.
Okay, no. That's what I'm asking for, Zach.
Right, okay. So what we see is the fit effect, right?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure it's on there either. I don't know that this makes any difference. It doesn't sound like it's going to. I did want to point out that, at the moment, you cannot see any of the foundation at all. I've circled the one area.
But you will once you lift the building, and that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
You
Let me
will
just-
see the brick
let me-
foundation.
Let me just jump in here as the MC.
Yep.
Applicant, this is a
Yes.
very large project. I don't know, I'm not sure that 2 weeks might break the bank here. It's been a while. It'd be really helpful if we could get that foundation detail that's showing how that brick is going to be notched,
That would be
the
helpful.
wall will be notched out for the brick. Is that something that you can accommodate? And then,
Yeah, sure.
that would be super helpful. It sounds like you have some favorable votes here.
Okay,
And you don't even have to show up next week if you get the votes tonight. I mean, not the votes, but sort of like the nod to go ahead.
okay. So does that mean there will be no vote tonight then? And we have to bring that in 2 weeks and then we'll get to a vote?
Yeah, if these guys are okay with like giving a nod to like an approval,
I see, okay,
you don't even have to show up next week if this is copacetic with these guys.
understood,
Okay.
understood.
I think that's important. Thank you.
Val?
Yeah, no, it's a good resolve. And, you know, to point back to what Mr. Studenroth said about the house on Germain, that is actual real brick. What they do is cut it. They cut the face of the brick. So there's either one of two methods. It's either create a real brick shelf so the brick can rest on the shelf, or you can set the wall back in a good 1 inch to receive this so it flushes out with the shingles. But that's an important detail. And I think if we get the detail, then he can proceed. And I'm good with this project. And I thank the applicant for his patience in making all these changes.
Bethany?
I agree with Val, and I would, I also feel like the owner has put in a lot of time, and I understand Zach's deal, and if in 2 weeks, if we can have this, I'm good.
I did ask if he had the patience for 2 weeks. Judith?
Yes, I compliment him on his flexibility and cooperation, and yes, come back in 2 weeks. And
Bob?
yeah.
Steve?
Well, I agree with your statement earlier that this is a large project. It probably can't even be mobilized in 2 weeks. I don't think we will delay his progress. So I agree with you and invite him to come back with the recommendations that Mr. Stubenroth provided.
It sounds like we're just gonna approve this next time. So you can show up or not, but
I will.
here we go.
Okay,
Thank you
And he'll wanna be
all the
here.
comments and responding.
thank you. So
Thank
I
you.
just hit stop share here, right, Carrie?
So I'll move to table, Dean.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that was Bethany and myself.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
board. Good evening.
New business, 59 Joel's Lane.
He was here a minute ago. Gee, for Gregory.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
Mr. Gregory. Tell us about your project, buddy.
I don't want you to get confused. It was under my wife's name, Judith, and Judy didn't grow a mustache, so it's actually okay. If you'd like, I can give you a quick synopsis of what
Please.
occurred here at our house, and also get your input as to actually why we are speaking to this board here.
Great, please.
Okay, our house is almost 50 years old, and over that time, every 5 to 7 years, we've been not required, but we stain the house, paint the trim, try to make the house look as neat as we possibly can. And as you folks know, over the past 50 years, the cost of maintaining a house is going up exponentially. And in this last year, it is really going through the roof. Also, our house, the front of our house faces north onto Joel's Lane. And in the winter time, when the wind is howling down the street, the front of our house becomes very cold. The house, like I said, was built almost 50 years ago, back in the day of 2x4 construction, when insulation wasn't a big deal and oil prices were 25 cents a gallon. Well, once again, all this stuff has gone through the roof. So what we figured the simplest way to do it was possibly to insulate the outside of the house rather than cause any damage on the inside of the house. One of our neighbors down the street had just had their house redone, and the siding people who did that house we contacted, they came and took a look and said, yes, what they could do is put 3/4 siding, not 3/4, what's what I'm looking
Insulation.
for? Insulation on the outside of the house and then re-side it. We wanted to keep the color of the new siding to match the existing siding of the house because we're only doing the north side, the east side, and the west side. The south side, which faces the pond, we were going to leave as is. So the fella came, started doing the siding on the house. Again, he's the same outfit that did the house down the street. They never had any problem with the house down the street. Next thing you know, 2 days into the project, the code enforcement officer shows up and wants us to stop the project. He says we have to get a certificate of appropriateness from you people.
So if I could just pause here.
Sure.
So in the village, anything that you do here needs a C of A. So I think with I'll have to talk to our attorneys, but outside the historic district, siding and roofing and things like that might be able to be accomplished with the committee at 2, which doesn't have to go through this, well, it kind of does a little bit, but anyway, a committee 2 might be able to approve something like this. So at least you would know that you're looking at an approval. And then at the next hearing, we would just approve it.
If that's possible, we'd be more than happy to do it. Unfortunately, right now, our house is half and half finished. And we've been real fortunate in that the weather's been great. But as you all know, coming up this weekend, it ain't going to be so great. And part of our house is exposed.
Can you describe to us what's going on as far as what the old siding was and what this new siding is?
Okay, the old siding was wooden clapboard siding. The new siding is vinyl siding with a 3/4 insulation behind it. The siding itself, if you come down the street and take a look, you can't tell the difference from the street, whether it's vinyl siding or wooden clapboard siding.
So are you complete with whatever you are planning on doing as far as this?
That's correct. Like I said, we were going to leave the back of the house because it's the south side of the house. We were going to leave it the wooden clapboard siding that we've had on for 50 years. But the front of the house and the east and west side, because of the cold temperatures and the fact that we're not getting, the cost of oil and whatnot is going through the roof. So that's why we're doing this.
Okay, so I'll go through the board and see how they feel. But in the future, it's just the way it is. Always lobby someone to change the code, but everything here is sort of a C of A situation. Val?
Say it. Why doesn't it say it?
I thought it's perfectly suitable what he's putting on the building, and there's no objection whatsoever.
Great. Steve?
Yeah, it's non-contributing, and I think it's not going to change the aesthetics of the project. So I agree that it's more than acceptable.
Judith?
It seems fine, but can something be done so that he doesn't have to have his house hanging half open?
He said he completed it.
No, it's not all the way complete.
It's not completed. No, we still got one whole side of the house is exposed, and the contractor had told us they had about one more day's work here, and unfortunately we haven't been able
good to go.
get to it.
Bob Adams?
I go along with that. I approve of it.
And Bethany, do you have any comments?
I approve.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve 59 Joel's Lane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Who seconded it?
Everyone.
All right, so somebody pick.
I think we'll go with Judith this time. So it's myself and
Thank
Judith.
you.
Okay,
All right,
thank you very
Mr.
much.
Gregory, you're
Okay.
good.
Thank you very much. So is it possible now for me to notify my contractor so we can get the house closed up before the big
You'll have to
rain?
talk to the building department tomorrow.
Mr.
Okay,
Gregory,
very
you
good.
can call me, but we'll get you going tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your help, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, bye now.
11 Burke Street, please.
Okay, Trev, you can take me off.
But has he been able to get on?
I believe he's here.
11 Burke.
We're here.
So cool.
We're here.
Oh, good.
Can you hear?
We hear you.
Can you hear? Okay, great. Okay, great. Hello, everybody.
Great. Can you tell us about your project or bring up some graphics?
Graphics. Well, I could first up. Carrie, would you bring it up for us?
Yes, I would love to.
Now, this is a historic home. Zach, we have like a photo in the file. Should we set up a site visit to review the site?
Sure. I'm going to be out of town though, so it'll have to be toward the end of next week. But
Dean,
happy to go out.
Yes.
this is the one that you said that pictures were suffice.
No, they may suffice.
So
And then
let's take a
we
look
asked for
at
a
them.
meeting. We asked for a meeting. There was like a small window. And I'm asked, you know, we're moving a historic structure.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's the question. Is this a historic structure, the shed, the
No.
old shed?
No, the shed is not, but I don't believe so, but I didn't see a design for the proposed building.
No, I
We're
didn't.
not doing any.
It says
Let me know when I have
construction
it.
of garage.
Correct.
Yeah, I didn't see a
And,
design for a garage.
well, we submitted a design for garage and
Oh,
a design for the shed.
Okay, I didn't see the submitted design for the new garage.
So Clifton, everything
yet.
that you, okay. Everything that you submitted through the email of the PDF that you sent is right here. So I'm going down at this is what the board has received.
Yes, but I sent the hard copies of the plans.
Okay, but so everything has to be submitted with PDF and hard copy.
Would you like me to forward to you right now?
If you could,
I can right now.
thank you. Okay, we've gone through 2 other locations since I just wanted to double check. I'm not.
So Zach, just to reiterate that
Right.
the chicken coop in the back is not historic.
It certainly, I mean, we might probably want to go take a look to double check, but it doesn't seem from the photographs to be of any historical. There's no reference to it in the nomination form.
Okay.
That's the question, yeah.
The chicken coop is a shed and it was built in the 1980s.
Yeah. Okay.
I attached one, I'm going to the other, and you should have it in a few seconds.
Would it be easier for us to second call you?
No, it's coming over right now. I just sent it to Carrie.
Pressure's on, Carrie.
I'm sorry, I just submitted the 3 hard copies. She's right, I didn't submit the electronic form.
We have it. I have it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I think,
Can we go back to, we need a site plan too, but can we go back to the, that soffit, that eve
this is the
detail?
plan. I think this is the plan for the garage,
Right.
Yes,
right?
yes, it is.
Yep.
And I think you have the site plan in electronic form. Do you not, Carrie?
Yes, I have both things that you sent me.
No, I mean the site plan showing it well, under the.
Is that a chimney?
Yes, yes, it is.
I see it in 1, but I don't see it in 2.
You see, I'm sorry, Zach. You see what in 1 and not one.
Well, I
not what
see
in 2.
the chimney in the upper left-hand corner. That's number 1, but existing building section, garden shed. Oh, that's a different building?
No, this is a garden shed. So the garden shed is what you call the chicken coop. I'm going to move the location of it and add on to it. Presently, it's too low, so I can't stand in the back of it. It was before the board before.
I think what the board would want to see is this proposed garage in the context of the house, in the setting, the siting of the 2.
There's
I
two,
think Carrie's looking for this, for the survey,
there's
correct?
2 different buildings, Zach. There's a,
Got it. No, I understand.
the chicken coop, right, is going to be moved and then added onto. And then there's also a garage to be built. Is that right? Am I right on that?
That's correct.
Carrie, are you searching for the survey? Do we have one?
I am searching for it. This is not it's not in the PDF that was sent, and it's not the site plan that Clifton just sent to me right now. So,
Carrie, if it's not there, again, my apologies.
That's okay.
I just sent it to you without a subject. I gave you 3 hard copies, but I didn't give you the electronic form.
That's
I gave
okay.
you 3
All
hard
right, I
copies.
got another one. Thank you. Here we go.
Shows the correct setbacks and everything.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you just zoom out just a little bit?
I'd love to.
Okay.
The other direction, the other zoom out.
Come down.
Okay, so Zach, you have deemed this proposed relocated shed as not historic. It's not noted in the survey.
Correct. It's not historic.
I have seen the hard copies. I think Bethany has. Does anyone on the board need to review anything further on this submission?
Can we see what the garage is going to look like?
Sure. Carrie, would you bring that up again?
They have some nice eave details they've included. Quite thorough.
But my only question on behalf of the board is, how does the garage design relate to that of the house? Is this a standing seam roof?
it a standing seam roof? It's a lead-coated standing seam roof. Yes,
So it's
it does. Yes, it
it's a
is.
standing seam roof. And I guess we're not going to see that little number 3 is the so-called garden shed, that elaborate little thing with the engaged corner pilasters. Number 3, that's going to be in the back
This house is
corner.
buried. You can't see anything in.
Right. I'm just asking.
Well, I think it's the same building.
Sorry.
No, that's a different building.
On
At least that's the way it's-
this plan that says, Carrie,
Can you make
move-
it colored?
I think it's like, I think it's that little section, like the, but, well, I don't know.
Oh.
Can you go up a little bit, Carrie, or no? So we can read, yeah, come back down a little bit more.
So all of this is
Right
the
here, it
garage.
says, a little bit more. Okay, just a little bit. I want to read what it said, what this
Right.
page says it is. Can you come down, please, Kara, a little bit more? Plans and Mr. Smith's, no, you're going up, sweetie. I want you to go down. Right there. Ah,
Okay.
see, Fred Smith, architect, up a little bit more. No, up. Okay, a little bit more. There you go, stop right there. It's a proposed garage and pool house.
That's correct.
Plans and elevations. So is that 2 separate buildings or is that one? Yeah, I think this little building is connected, am I wrong? To the garage?
Okay, so
the little building.
And that's number 3 is the little add-on to the garage, like which they're calling a pool house, correct?
With the hipped roof of the main structure behind.
Yeah.
Behind.
It's like that. I think you're right. Looks that way to me.
This thing's buried behind the hedges.
Yeah.
Well, the applicant has a challenge because they're looking to create a Greek revival styled garage, which of course is not a thing. So I think it's over designed, over styled, but that's my only comment.
Val, comments?
Is this the house directly behind the beverage store? No.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's buried back there. You can't see this thing, but I think architecturally it's a nice little complement to the house, which has a lot of the same detail. So I'm generally good with this application.
Judith?
Yeah, I understand that you can't see any of these outbuildings. So I think it's fine.
Bob?
I think it's fine.
Steve?
Sorry, it's fine, sorry.
Bethany?
I think this is, I mean, I might be incorrect, but I think this is really one building. And there's another building that we need to look at before am I wrong or right?
Well, that's what I was asking about the historic significance of the chicken coop, if for lack of a better term. And Zach said it's not.
This does not have the chicken coop in it, does it?
He's twisting it.
No. The chicken.
What we're looking at now does not have the chicken coop.
Can we go back to the survey, please, Carrie?
I'm curious about. And I'm curious about the pool. What?
I saw a little box there. Is that the pool? It's square?
Yeah.
6 by 6. Is it already there, guys? What was that? That picture that we saw. What was that before?
That picture was that picture is inspiration for the pool. The pool's a very small thing, it's the size of my desk. Actually, it's
cesspool.
Sort of a water feature.
Are you concerned about proximity? In the leaching field there?
It's 22 feet away. This is a garden ornament, people.
Yeah, it's not a pool you're gonna swim in or anything,
Oh, okay.
correct? See, it gets, for me, when I see something being called a pool house, it makes me think that there's gonna be, like, I'm looking for the pool. And then I see this little guy. Am I right? I don't know, guys. Tell me.
Proposed relocated shed is determined by a historian that is not historic.
Right.
The proposed garage is brand new. We just looked at all the drawings. The little pool
Yeah,
here
so
is a
the
garden
garage is
ornament.
here, and then have we seen a picture? Have we seen the plans for the proposed relocated shed? Can you come down a little bit, Care?
Yes, through there.
Right here.
That was the first thing we
Proposed
looked
shed
at.
addition. Have we seen this?
That was the first thing we looked at tonight.
The plans? that we
Yes, you saw them.
It's kind of a simpler
All right.
version of the
I
garage.
just wanted to make sure we saw both, that's all, before we said. Let's go.
Bethany, are you comfortable?
I would like to take another look, if that's all right with everyone. The proposed shed, relocated shed with the addition. Is it
Take a look at that,
matching the
Carrie?
garage? I'm just curious.
Carrie, can we bring up the
Yeah,
the chicken coop
Thanks,
thing?
Care.
I'm bringing it up right now.
Okay, that's
The
it.
garage.
That's the garage.
This is not it.
Okay, hold on one moment.
There it is.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There we go.
This
There you
is
go.
it.
It has a southern flavor.
Yeah. I mean, it does match the other, and honestly, you guys said we saw this already?
Yep.
I looked at
We
it.
brought it up initially
Okay.
when we started to look
Yeah,
at this.
but we weren't sure what it was, or
We didn't know what it
whether
was, right?
garage or the shed or
Right,
what.
right. Okay.
Okay,
I'm-
so I'll make a
And
motion
it
to
has a
approve.
chimney.
I'm good. And this is called, so another little shed, and this is like it's certainly not a chicken coop.
It was, or something.
Yes, it was, but what is it now? I guess is what I'm asking. What's it
It's a
going to be?
shed,
Shed. Okay.
Shed with a chimney.
a heated shed.
I make a
So
motion
to
to
be
approve
clear-
11 Burke Street.
Just one
Who's
question.
seconding?
Oh, okay.
I will.
Steve,
Thank
did
you,
you have a
Val.
question?
I just want to make sure in this larger shed, there's no running water? Is there electric? I mean, what's in the shed?
So there's presently electric in the shed, and there'll have to be electricity in the shed because I need lights and I need an exhaust stove fan to take the heat out. I store furniture, and heat is the enemy to antiques. I'm an antique dealer.
But no running water, no bathroom.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
I
Steve.
think, yeah, I guess the question is the use of it, right?
That's not our purview, but you can ask if there's running water and all this other good stuff.
Okay, no. Okey dokey.
Okay, so I made the motion. Is there a second for the approval?
Val,
For
Val made the second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Dean, you skipped over Dime Bank. Can you do that? Dime Bank, 15 Long Island Avenue.
Okay,
Where was
15.
that?
It's not on the list.
It's not on the agenda.
I don't think so. Not the
Okay.
second one I printed out, yeah.
Are they here?
Yes, they are.
Okay, Long Island Avenue, Dime Bank, please.
Oh, boy, I didn't know you
That's
were
gonna be
finished with
the,
the.
you guys, isn't that the public hearing?
No,
I'm sorry. Okay.
this
So
is the
Long
big
Island
banner.
public
So
hearing.
as the committee of two, Bethany and myself were looking at signs.
Oh, okay, this thing.
And we
Yeah,
could,
yeah.
we
The
could
bank.
not come to a consensus, or we both did not like the sign. Basically, it's too big for this space. So it was
Compared to what was there, and now what,
just
they're gonna
even
put
on
in.
its own. So we thought we'd throw it to the board to get your comments on the bottom right sign.
Board, this is Clifton Murdoch and Paris Shields. Thank you. We didn't realize. We didn't know we were approved.
Oh, thank you, Clifton and Paris. Have a great night.
Thank you very much, everybody. We're waiting for, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, sorry.
Thank you.
I'd like to get the opinion of the board's impression of this sign, not the little sign, the big sign.
Can we see the sign again?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
That's the sign we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is proposed.
Okay.
And this
What
is
I'm
where it
saying,
is.
what I'm saying, guys, is if you look what's there now, the B and B, it's smaller than this big dime. That's all I was saying. I felt I would be more comfortable with it the same kind of size
Right.
as
Okay,
the original.
Steve. Steve, comments.
This takes me back to Cape Pasa, when I thought the sign was going to actually diminish the look of the building. I think until they made some adjustments. On this one, I think it's the same thing. That this is probably a corporate standard, but not appropriate for the village. So I would say if that could be modified, reduced in size and how should I say, drama. That's the wrong word. But if it could be reduced and made a little more subtle, I'd be more comfortable with it.
To Bethany's point, the B&B on the left is more appropriate for some sort of a logo.
Right.
Gonna know, everyone's gonna know it's the bank.
If they could just reduce it, I'd say by 25-35%. It says it's
Bianca, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay.
Says it's 32 inches tall. So if they could knock that down maybe to 2 feet, maximum, maybe 1'10" is better, but I think that would be helpful.
We were looking to keep the height, and we're willing to reduce the width of it to about 9'10". Are you guys okay with doing it that way?
No, I think we need to see a graphic because I think it's overwhelming and it's way over the top, honestly. And that's why we could not agree.
Yeah,
on
we
the
just
video
need.
two.
I would like to
to the applicant, let me just say, if you colored the name Dime and made the rest of the background white, then it would be easier to do. But the whole size of the impact of the sign, that's the word I was looking for, is a little overwhelming.
So we can do a white background, and then we would just change the Dime letters to blue. But we need that green triangle on there. That's part of their branding. That's part of the logo. So we would need the green triangle there as well.
That's something that would work, like Steve just said, some sort of the green triangle and switch out the colors and crank down the height of the text. I think would be a start. Bob Adams.
I think that what you just said is exactly the way I feel.
Bethany?
Yes, I just need it to be smaller. The whole sign can stay, the colors can stay, but it should not be as tall or as wide as it is.
I make a motion
Okay,
to.
wait a minute. May I speak, please?
I'm sorry, Judith.
I would like to suggest that it be no larger than the old sign, the B&B sign. And if they have to have a chartreuse triangle, can they just like make a little chartreuse triangle and stick it somewhere, but not have this big overwhelming, and also the typography is ugly. So I would suggest smaller, anything you can do to make it look less commercial and suburban.
Now this is the back, right? And then if we go to a picture where the front of the bank is, see, they're going to do the same thing. Plus, is there also, did we have it, I believe, right? The wooden sign in the front there, or no? Is that going to be made into Dime? This?
Sure.
And what's that going to look like?
Oh,
There's
right
the
up here.
Right here.
Here you go. Dime entrance only, no through traffic.
What's the dimensions of the sign in comparison to the B&B sign?
I think it's the same, maybe.
But I think the letters of the word dime are much larger, if I'm not mistaken.
You
Or
can't
maybe
tell.
they just look larger because of the typeface.
It's a bold font, I think is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it's an unpleasant font, but I guess
The
it's
font is
part
their
of their
logo. We
logo.
can't change that.
Okay,
Is
so
it the same as B&B?
So
No, they're different.
to just surmise what is going on, we really like, I guess, the prominence of the B&B. The white background. You said that you may change the color of the dime to a color, as Steve suggested. So if we could stay in sort of that tenor of what the B&B's presence on the street is, would be the way to go. We're not asking you to change your company logo or anything like that, but please respect, I guess, the ease on the eye that the B&B presents to the street, and that would be the direction I would go in.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
If looking at this sign here with the company branding and the triangle on top of the IME, if you go back to the building for a second.
We can go to the front, Kim.
Okay, there. So proportion of what's on that sign is relative to the proportion of the B&B logo. And I think if that's a nice compromise to take that signage with the dime and the triangle on top, instead of this 13-foot long banner, I think it would be much more subtle.
I think that's a start.
Dime would be completely not visible. If we put the triangle on top, dime is going to get really small. No one's going to be able to read it. We have to keep the triangle to the side.
I think
Excuse me.
I disagree. I disagree. I
would
think
like
it
to jump.
be totally readable.
I would like to jump in. So applicant, we've given you we like the presence of the B&B. Your dime has to represent sort of that proportion to the building. Right now it is not that, and it's way over the top. So you've heard our comments, and we're going to move on. I make a motion to table the Dime Long Island Avenue application. Is there a second? All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That was myself and Judith. 115 Franklin. Oh, that's a discussion. 32 Meredith, please. What? 32
Hello.
Meredith.
Yes, I'm here. This is Tate Overton, the architect representing Payne Brown. And I'm still seeing Dime Bank on my screen for some reason.
Just in
I'm
case.
not doing that. Hold on for a second. I'll share my. Can everyone see my my screen?
Yes, you can.
All right, great. So good evening or afternoon, members of the board. I appreciate the time again to review this project with you. This was actually approved back in November 12th, 2020. And we obtained our permits and we started working on the project. And I'll jump to the pictures of the existing house. We found that there are some conditions on this house after demo that we needed to remedy. Namely, the roof was pretty much caving in. We couldn't get a proper insulation in the existing joists, and it was falling apart and had mold. The siding was also not repairable. We were hoping just to re-stain it, and it just was falling apart. So with that, I'll walk you through some of the changes that we are looking to do just in general. There's also some site conditions that I wanted to bring to your attention. That's also an update. So for starters, the existing rear yard had this.
So we're looking at the first page.
Yeah, we're looking at the cover sheet.
Excuse me, sorry. Let me try that again. All right, are you with me? I'm looking at a survey.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so there was in the rear yard this large concrete patio, which we we want to remove. With that, we are adding or wanting to add a rear yard deck, and then an enclosed gated fence around equipment such as the air conditioning system. So that's the gist of the change there. We're also clarifying that the driveway will be gravel and the path will be gravel. This project already has an IA septic system that was approved and actually recently installed, so that's all good. It didn't have to be done, but we wanted to do it, so the owner moved forward with that. Layout wise, I mean, interior, there's some slight modifications to the walls. I know that doesn't really affect the exterior. In terms of exterior changes, apologies for the jumping around. I just want to make sure you guys can see it. We modified this bathroom and squeezed down this room. There was once in our previous proposal, we had a sliding door here, so we omitted it. And then we also put in these new windows here on the front.
Can we see the elevations of these changes?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, there we go.
There you go. So front facade, no change to these windows, no change to the door. It's these windows that we added in. We had windows there. We brought them forward to basically the eave line of the house, which was already had a concrete deck to it. In the rear yard, there was once in a previous proposal, we had the sliding door over here, and we just got rid of that. And you're seeing the profile of the step deck here. And this is the 6-foot high fence that's in line with the north face of the house. These doors were previously part of the scope. The siding, we're proposing to do a pre-finished dark gray hardy plank siding around. And because the roof needs replacement, we did a new asphalt shingle roof, which is a dark gray. We specified the timberline spec on that first sheet. No changes here and no changes here, except for we're just calling out the fact that the roof eave is, basically matching the original, but with a new material. I can show you some details, but that's pretty much it. I'll jump into the, again, we have the James Hardy plank gray slate finish and the timberline charcoal finish roof.
Can we see the back of the house? Maybe, well, start with the original.
Okay.
I mean, what's there?
What was there before demo?
Okay.
So the back.
Yes, because when you say demo, the house is gone, but you're still building the same size house?
We gave them a permit to make changes to this house before, and he's making a couple of changes to windows and doors.
That's right.
Yes. So
why does he say demo?
What was? Let me ask
sorry,
you.
it's a scary word. I know. I didn't demo the house. We kept.
Okay.
We
No,
kept the
I'm
house.
just curious. I'm just
fact,
curious.
Yeah, sorry.
So in the back, we still have the one door and then the sliding doors, correct? And then it's the window. It's a great big window. What was approved before like? What did it look like?
Before there was a sliding door here. And there was a new window proposed for here that was approved.
And it's like, it's huge, right? It's big. Much bigger than that window.
It is bigger than this window, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the kitchen.
And that's, you know what? Let me look at the front. Let me look at the front. Because that's where it really, at least that's how it looked to me. So the change, right, is that these windows to the right of the door, right, are now becoming again like really, really big. Right?
That was previously approved. So we showed this as a full window, bay window, and we basically brought it out we brought it out to this line here is what happened.
Okay.
And these are gone. There's now a transom, which was approved before. So it's really the detail of this window treatment. And the number of windows or the amount of glass is the same. The style is the same as what we presented before.
Okay, so let's go once through the proposed elevations, if we could, and get some comments, please. Steve, do you have comments regarding the changes to this application?
Yeah, I don't think they have any significant effect. They still seem to be more in the privacy of the rear yard. And other than moving the front yard window to flush out with the rest of the facade, I don't see any problems at all.
Judith?
Oh, I think it's a very practical house, and it's looking like a big improvement over what was there. And I think it's, and it also is nice in the neighborhood. So I think it's good.
Val?
I'm gonna say exactly what Judith said.
Bob?
It's an improvement to the neighborhood.
Oh boy, that's a good sign. Okay.
Yeah, but I live in that neighborhood. He just hit me in the heart.
I'm good with it. I am, except
Okay.
I would like, we call it a bay window, sir. Is that what you said? Bay window?
Yeah,
I
it's a
would
generic
just,
term.
I would like it over more, not like right up connected to the door, but it's just my personal, whatever. It's.
Oh,
fine.
apologies. I should clarify. And, usually I present renderings that are three-dimensional. On this house, it was really fairly minor to the changes, but the front door is pushed back. The front door is actually in its original position. So there's some dynamic to the facade.
Okay.
So there's coverage when you walk up.
Okay, that makes it, well, it makes it sound, well, and the window is forward
Yeah, the window is forward of this door, but
of the door. All right, so that
yeah,
makes
set back
it,
behind-
I'm more, I'm
it's
happy.
right behind
I'm
this
good.
eave line.
Is there a motion to approve 32 Meredith Avenue?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it's Judith and Steve.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tate.
14 Vitale Silly Avenue.
Good evening, members of the board. Brian DeSessa, attorney for the applicant at 14 Vitale Silly. If I could screen share, please.
Yes.
Okay, Brian.
Great.
Go ahead, Brian.
Hold on, just waiting for it to pop up here. One moment. Okay, the property is located at 14 Vitale Silly. We were here about 5 or 6 months ago as a discussion with the board. It's one of, well, it is actually a vacant lot, private road off of Glover Street. There's a property to the north of it, which was 10 Vitale Silly, which you had previously approved and is currently under construction. The applicant here is developing, it's a vacant lot. Prior to coming here this evening and after the last time we were here, we've now obtained approvals from all other agencies of the village and outside, specifically the Harbor Committee, the Zoning Board, with respect to Pyramid. The property sits in a flood zone, so is elevated with respect to the house and where it can be finished in walls. The plan before you the landscape plan is done by Ed Hollander and his team. It's a one-story home. We'll go over the elevation shortly. So a one-story home with a pool, patio, and some lawn. As you see here where the mouse is, this is a 75-foot non-fertilized, disturbance buffer area with native vegetations, fescues, and different grasses. The house sits here to the southern portion of the property, the pool in the middle, and a lawn area all outside of the boards, the Harbor Committee board's jurisdiction. Some plantings toward the front. I believe Mr. Hollander's plan is sufficient to the board in terms of the specifications of planting. The planting on center was established and is presented as part of the file. And if there are questions about landscaping, I'm pleased to answer those now before we move on.
I have some questions, and I did pose them to the building department for clarification. It is on I guess the backside of Glover Street, but still people do access that easement. I sure have. And it's important that we have wall details and how the fence works and the retaining wall works. We should have gate details. We should know what the stone is around the pool and what kind of gravel is being proposed. And then there is a wall right on the property line. It should be recessed 3 feet. So these,
we obtained a variance for that, Mr. Gomolka, to put the retaining wall on the property line.
I still want to see the details because I'm not clear
Okay.
on what's going on. It's important. We do sometimes, overlook a couple things because we know we'll get the details if we go to a public hearing or whatever. But it's really important that I expect to follow the details that we're used.
I'm losing you there. So you had the wall details, the gravel detail, and the stone
gate,
around the
how
pool?
the gate works, and what
Okay.
kind of gravel is happening, and what kind of stone is around the pool. This is a planty plan. Really, we should really know what the aesthetics are going on when you're driving down that easement. What are we looking at? What are we looking at?
Sure.
And then as far as like the grades are concerned with the wall, I know that there's some sort of SketchUp elevation in there, but I would
There
like
is.
to, I would like to know what the top of that wall is and how it relates. Yeah, a grading plan. I know that there's probably a great one buried in there somewhere, but it would be important to see. It looks
I will
spectacular, but
speak to
we're
Mr.
not
Hollander
going to rubber
about that.
stamp a plan. You know what I mean? It's important that we know what we're approving.
Very good. I'll speak to Mr. Hollander about getting those details. I'm going to pull up any other questions, I'm sorry, with respect to landscaping before I move on to the elevations. Okay. So let me screen share. Okay. Before you are the elevations. The first elevation you're seeing is from the water. So down here is the water. This is looking east toward the site where you'd see the glass to the water side of Upper Sag Harbor Cove. We have an infinity spillover pool and that wall, which will provide landscape detail on. This is the southern exposure. It's metal roofing, aluminum and slate gray. The exterior trim is wood trim painted in a charcoal gray. Windows and doors are aluminum clad wood in black in color. And the siding is 1x6 tongue and groove vertical cedar as depicted on the plans. And then the opposite elevation. So the top elevation is the elevation from that private road looking into the site. So this would be facing west toward the site with the stairs, and we'll provide that detail on gates and otherwise. And then this is the northern elevation from the property that's under development now, facing out on the pool area.
It looks fabulous.
It is. It's very interesting. So where is the actual, like, how would you enter the house? Like,
You enter the house from right here.
okay.
And then you have doors across the side here. Then you have doors across the southern exposure, and you have 2 entryways on the, I'm sorry, this is the western exposure, and then this is the southern exposure as well. Is it possible to separate the house and then I'll come back with the landscape and grading plan at the next meeting?
Just quickly let us know what the square footage of this thing is.
The square footage of the house is, let me get that for you, one moment.
For the record.
Yep.
So Brian, when you drive down Glover Street, what will you see?
You won't see this from Glover Street because it's
You won't
tucked
see
behind-
this house at all. Okay.
Not from Glover, because it's
Okay.
behind the houses that.
You have
that
to go,
front.
you have to go on the
on
private road
You have to go on the
to
private
see the
road, that's
front of it.
correct.
or to see. You wouldn't see this because this is facing the water. You'd see the other side,
Correct.
right?
I have 1860 in terms of square footage, Mr. Gomolka.
Great, thank you very much for that. Comments from the board regarding the architecture. Steve Williams.
I think it's an interesting house because it's surprisingly understated. One might even call it modest, given the remarkable piece of property that it's on. So I think it's well done.
Great. Judith?
I agree exactly with what Steve just said.
Bethany?
Quite interesting.
I'm pleased that it's 1 story,
Val?
brand new house.
Yeah, it's a very subtle house for the street. I think the neighbors would be pleased, with a waterfront lot like this, that they only have a 1-story house on the water side. And I like the simplicity of the architecture. It's a nice touch.
Bob?
I like the simplicity of it.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve 14 Vitale Silly Avenue architecture only. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is, just imagine it's on the agenda, 11 Ackerley.
Hi,
You're
sorry
funny.
about that. This is Tom Amico, one of the owners. How are you?
Okay. It looks impressive. Please tell us about your project.
Sure. So we've been here a couple times, as you may recall. We started off with trying to extend the house basically a little bit above the peak and all the way back. Based on comments we received, we went to a dormer right from the peak line back. And we had been asked last week to provide a rendering that shows the old house with the addition of the dormer. So I have that here. That was submitted. If I can try to pull that up. Did I do it right?
Yeah.
Oh, you see it. Oh, good. Okay.
There we go.
Sorry, I always surprise myself. So as you can see, you may recall we'd started basically going all the way across from up above the current peak, but to minimize the impact to the property, we've dropped down to the peak line, so you won't be able to see it from the road. As you may recall last week, it's a very tight lot and it's pretty concealed, so it's going to be difficult to see the dormer from the street even. But you can see in the lower left-hand side, the white is the current house. The addition, the shingled dormer is the addition part. And then on the back, that's let me see if I can find that rear view. It's really hard to tell in this picture, I'm sorry. But if you look at this picture here, the back already extends out. And there's this is the existing north elevation. On the right-hand side, which would be the west part of that, there's a small porch, which we wanted to enclose. And then on the left, we want to extend out to get just a small amount to get basically to get a washer and dryer.
So going back to those elevations of the proposed and the existing, Zach, can you just, how do you feel?
Well, I think there's been a great improvement here in terms of the massing, and I think although that proposed dormer does spring from the existing ridge line, the fact that it's set back on both sides minimizes the massing of it, and also from the street will minimize the view of it. So I think that's a very good thing. I'm a little concerned. We're not seeing the front elevation here, and I would ask, since that's been removed, I'm questioning the position of the door. It seems uncomfortably close to the window. And I think the ivy in the picture that the mouse is sitting on right now, perhaps I'm not sure. In other words, on what basis is that designed? Because the original fabric's been removed. It's a subtle thing. But
I think the fenestration still exists. They just
that whole front wall was removed.
It was cut it, but
we intend to return it the way that it was before.
Okay.
We want it to look the
respect,
same.
Right. I understand and respect that. And I'm simply saying, since that front facade has been removed, I'm questioning the placement of the front door, the reconstruction of the front door, which seems too far left in this elevation. I would want that to be about I don't know, because what the board wants to base its decision on is not necessarily the design aesthetic criteria, but in this case, the forensics of what was there. And unfortunately, we're
Okay, so we'll just leave it there. That needs to be.
Well, you know what, we can ask, Zach, we can ask, just, I think would a simple, can I ask?
May I finish my statement, please?
Dean,
So
can I
if
ask
applicant, can you please verify that these windows and doors are, somehow we have to verify that through photos or whatever, because I do remember that door. And of course, Bethany living across the street knows exactly where that door is. And I did for a little while as well.
I didn't know
It wasn't that far over.
Hi,
So we
neighbor.
really need to verify that
Thanks, Dean.
these fenestrations and doors are.
My question, that kind of comes into what I wanted to ask. When the door opens, the stairs are right there. Is that how it is still going to be?
The stairs will still be there. Let me just.
And where they were, right?
Yes, if you see this here, so the door opens and you can see the stairs right here.
So we'll have to verify that. We don't have to belabor this point, but that's what we want the front of this building to be exactly the way it was built.
Understood. Yes.
So,
Otherwise, I think the massing of what's being proposed is appropriate.
Yeah, I think it was a suggestion, right, by the board last time that.
It was 2 times
yeah,
ago, yes.
And I appreciate that you listened and went with that. I think it looks quite nice.
So if we can go through all 4 sides of this structure, and please tell us, well, before I guess we'll go through all 4 sides, but if you can just explain what windows are remaining, the existing windows, hopefully all of them, and what your proposed as far as doors and windows are concerned in a new form.
Okay, so I was trying to get, unfortunately, our architect didn't seem to get on the call today.
I'm here.
Oh, you are, Victor?
Yes.
Oh, great. Victor, are you able to speak to which of the windows are staying? Because some of them are rotted through. A couple of them actually are missing. They were covered with trash bags when we bought the house. So those obviously are not staying.
In the front, those 4 windows are going to remain. And that door location, yeah, that door is where it's located. I have dimensions of where those windows and doors were located. So, and then on the, let's go to the side. So those, you can go to the side elevation.
Victor, did you want me to move to a different slide?
Yeah, if you can go to the side elevation. There you go. So on this side, you can see we're repositioning the windows there. You got to scroll down a little bit further. You can see on the west elevation, we're keeping those 3 big windows along the sides. That smaller one that your cursor is on, that's being replaced. That was not an original window. And then the upper window's being replaced in order to get an egress window on the 2nd floor, which we'll use on the west elevation. So again, on the 1st floor, those 3 large ones will be existing. The one on the 2nd floor will be replaced to match it, but it'll be an egress window. We'll match the grilling and everything that's in the trim. And then on the east elevation, it's just the upper window is going to remain. The other ones are new. Only the one window on the 1st floor and the one on the 2nd floor were original in the front. All the ones in the back along the side were, replacement windows, or those 2 windows are actually covered up with siding. ones that are dashed in.
Now, are these existing windows that, are they the ones that you want to replace that are covered up by siding, or what? Is there evidence of these windows there now?
I have photographs of them that you can see that they're not really the original windows. I don't have them.
Zach, did you verify that?
We didn't really look at that when we investigated the site. We were really focused on other things such as the front wall. I don't think any of these windows, it's tough to use the word original. I think the house itself predates all of the sashes that are still there. So I think it's what we're talking about, I think, is that 2/2 type, which is probably inserted perhaps in the 1880s or so, is the type, that you're looking for here, and it was preserved on the front wall. I presume that the reconstruction of the staircase, which is of course an interior improvement, which doesn't come up for discussion necessarily, but when it imposes a change of fenestration, which I believe it does here in the lower left-hand corner, we're losing that center window, and we're gaining a small, oddly shaped window to the left near the front facade, and then that window has been shoved toward the back.
It's because it's a bathroom, correct?
No, that's at the foot of the stairs.
Staircase.
That's the staircase going up.
I thought when I looked at the plan that there was a bathroom in that spot area.
Just in the front corner? No.
Yeah.
So in the interest of
I don't
time,
think so. Yeah.
it seems like they've come a long way of as far as preserving this house
Yes.
and the volume. And so, so Zach, is this another trip just to take a look at the fenestrations here and what
I think we
existing
should just, it'd be helpful, I think, to get center it in on the window situation. That would sort of wrap it up, I think, for the board.
So in
That'd
the
be
interest of
useful.
time as well, saying that everything is perfect and we sign off on, the windows are legit or what they're proposing here is great. Let's just get an overall commentary from the board with this presentation today.
Can we look at the front facade? Do you still have those windows or no? The two in the front, up and down, 4 windows? Are
Yes.
they still,
Yeah.
you still have them?
Yes.
That's,
And the front
Okay.
front door.
yep. Oh, and the front door, okay.
Okay, so from the board, Beth, I'll start with you. We're looking at this front facade. How do you feel about this application? We are going to go out to the site with our historian and take a second look at these fenestrations.
Okay, I'm good with you going back and overall, I know where we were and where we are now is an improvement.
Great. Judith?
Yes, I agree with Bethany. It's overall, it's come a long way and it's really much better. So as long as we just check the box about the windows, I think we're done, right?
Bob Adams?
I think what he's done is marvelous. Looks good.
Steve?
Yeah, according to Judith, it's come a long way, baby. And so I think it's a major improvement. Subject to inspection and verification, I'm fine with it.
Val?
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you went back to the side elevation of the main gable, if it's possible to do this, but if you could make the second floor double hung on the left. Okay, so that's a proposed, you're good. Yeah. All right. I think generally speaking, you've come light years with this addition, so it's great.
Mhm.
So application, that sounds very favorable. It's just one last shot at our historian taking a look at this structure to get an A-OK on it, and then one more meeting, hopefully. Will that suffice?
How can we facilitate that for you?
And if you want to be there, we'd love to meet you on site, or we can just show up there next week and take a look. And also, we're asking you to, I guess your architect had dimensions of the original fenestration. So when Zach does his forensics, and looking at photos and things like that, we can knock this out of the park next time around.
Okay, all right.
So do you guys want to schedule this for next Thursday also?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Very much. Any questions for the board?
No,
Good?
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a
I'll-
motion
I'll
to
make-
table?
Michael
make a
and
motion to
Thomas, you can
table.
call me tomorrow and we'll set up a time.
Okay, great, thank you.
Is there a motion to table 11 Ackerley?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
That's Bethany and Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that surprise agenda item.
No problem.
Okay, I will make the motion to open the public hearing for 162 Madison Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So I think how we'll do this is we'll ask the applicants in these public hearings to tell us about their project, and then we'll jump right into public comment. And then from there, we'll ask board, we'll close the hearing and we'll ask the board their questions. Okay, so please, 162 Madison, tell us about your project.
Good evening, members of the board. Brian DeSessa, attorney for the applicant at 162 Madison. We were here last month and several months before after some site visits with the board. The applicant is proposing to demolish a rear western addition to the home at 162 Madison Street and replace it with a new addition. The latest addition that you saw last month, and that's part of the public hearing, which I will screen share now, was a smaller rendition, approximately 20 feet smaller than when the project started. Let me just screen share here. What's before you is an aerial view where the mouse is of 162 Madison. It's this rear area here, which is not part of the historic house that we're proposing to demolish and rebuild. You have to the right here, and I can zoom in on this to make it a little larger. This is the house, existing landscaping, very thick vegetative screening. We've taken photos so that you can see from the rear to the neighboring properties. It is very well screened from all the neighboring properties, as you can see, as well as from the street. This is a rendering of the front of the house with the addition and the inclusion of those plants over what we're proposing. The front of the house remains, this is the historic part of the house. That remains unchanged. Part of the application that we did discuss last time and this time were for maintenance and repair work. We did provide a detailed description of the maintenance and repair work in a cut sheet as to how that work would be done with respect to the historic part of the home.
Can I just jump into that?
Yes.
So those are pretty significant brackets and detailing on this home. Zach?
Yeah.
Should we write like a quick little resolution on this just to make sure? Because if you read in their description, they're making special tools and all kinds of things. It might be nice on this house to follow some sort of a
Yeah, we could look through that. I think it would be helpful. Yeah.
We're happy to do that too, whatever, conditions we want. We want to preserve the house and preserve that integrity, just repair it. So we're not looking to, we're tooling special tools to make this work. So
Mr. DeSessa, I'm not trying to be insulting. It's just we hold everybody to this standard. We're,
absolutely
with these protocols, and I'm just making sure that Zach's on board with making that, thinking it's appropriate.
Absolutely. This is the southern addition. You see the existing historic home remaining intact, a transition piece, and the new addition that faces into the garden that you saw from the aerial previously. This is from the eastern side. The pool and everything is back here looking toward it. So we're keeping similar materials. We're keeping painted cedar facade with cedar shingles. All the materials from the same with flashings have remained. It's a flat roof, green roof, as you recall from the site visit when we were there. Let me move down into elevations. So you can see here from the driveway side how this steps down. It's a one-story addition, so it's actually lower than what exists there now in the peak roof, with the ceiling height continuing materials to show consistency with the historic home, yet giving a pause or a punctuation or a dash between the historic home and the proposed new addition. And again, back to the elevation from the street side. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board or public may have.
At this point, Brian, I want to try something new, and I'd like to have you finish your presentation. We'll open up for public comment.
I have nothing further at this time,
we'll
Mr.
close out,
Chairman.
and then we'll work on the board.
I have nothing further on my presentation at this time.
Are there comments from the public? Please. Is there anyone out there?
Yeah, hi, I'm Melanie. I'm the next door neighbor. So it's only the back that is the new portion. It's not on this, because on the letter that I got, it sounded like there was something new that was coming on the southern side that was going all the way to the front.
It's like the west. It's on the west.
It's all on the west side.
Am I correct, Mr. DeSessa? It's all in the back. It's all in the
That's
rear.
correct. It's all in the back. Nothing is coming closer to the street or closer. Correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other neighbors or someone from the public with a question? Only one. Wow, you're famous. All right, I make a motion to close the public hearing for 162 Madison Street.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that was myself and Steve. Okay, board members, Steve, do you have questions for Mr. DeSessa regarding this project?
No, my only comment is that if I remember this original submittal, I think this is a very nice improvement. And I have no questions.
Great. Val?
It is a nice improvement. The back of the house just sort of rambles. There's 3 different architectural styles, and this is nice and clean. And I like the way he did the break between the historic and the proposed. So it's nicely done, and it's very sensitive to the house.
Judith?
I agree with Val, and I've been to the site twice, and the gardens are beautiful, and the addition complements the gardens. People will be able to sit there and look at them, and it's so well shielded that I think it's great, and it's so much better than the original proposal. It's very nice.
Bob Adams?
I think they did a wonderful job.
I think it's brilliant. They have a rooftop garden. The punctuation that was stated, there is a definitely delineation between the historic and this wonderful room that sits in the middle of this beautiful garden, as Judith said. So is there a motion to approve 162 Madison as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Sorry, Bethany.
Opposed? So that's
Aye.
Judith and Steve.
Oh, geez.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
So, Mr. DeSessa,
Yes.
we discussed it's going to be a resolution for, we're going to come up with a resolution to handle the brackets and things like that.
And yes, correct.
Okay, I just want, we didn't spell that out when we went to vote, but that, I did bring that up.
Okay.
Understood.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
I'll make the motion to open the public hearing for 81 Long Island Avenue. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Applicant, please tell us about your project for the record.
Yes, good evening. This is Jared London. I am the architect for the applicant. May I share my screen?
Please.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the property in question is located at 81 Long Island Avenue, between 91 Long Island Avenue and the Bridge Street condos. We're looking at a 22,000 square foot property. There's an existing house on the property that was built in 2002. What the existing property consists of is 3,400 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a raised pool, a deck, and a garage. We are proposing to demolish this house, remove the pool, remove the deck, and build a new house. New house would be 3,370 square feet, so slightly smaller. Same 4 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, 1-car garage and patios, trellis, no swimming pool. So here's a site plan comparison showing the placement of the new house. We're bringing it approximately 50 feet back from the road. We're setting the entire house behind the Zone X line. Right now we're split between AE6 and Zone X. The entire house will conform, of course, to the AE6 requirement.
Can you just explain the relationship between the two properties? Are the owners the same?
Absolutely, and that's a very good question. So the neighbor here at 91 Long Island Avenue is the owner of 81 as well, and the property is being brought back so that it sits in line with the neighboring property.
Okay, great. Please continue.
Okay.
Can you just run through possibly the elevations to refresh the board?
Absolutely. So let me just show you this while it's on the screen. This is the view from the street of the existing house, and our rendering showing the proposed house sits approximately 5.5 feet lower than the existing property.
That's good.
And just bear with me because it seems that my screen is running a little slow here. So we're looking at the east and the south elevations.
We're still looking at the site plan. Okay, great.
Okay. This is the east and the south elevations. Going back, we see west elevation. This is our landscape plan. Landscape plan shows our planting count, planting placement, species specification, and spacing.
There are second-story decks on this house, and you're removing a large portion of the green giants that border the two properties north and south. That's why I brought up the ownership of the two properties, and I just want the board and the people to know, and maybe you can just speak to that for a moment. I know there's a retaining wall there, and what the purpose of removing that hedge is.
Absolutely, and that's a good question. And the hedge, I should note that these green giants are being removed and they're being transplanted on the opposite side of the property to provide additional screening at the Bay Street condo side, where we're removing the large growth of bamboo. There's a big grove of bamboo on that side of the property. We are, and it might be best if I backtrack to my site plan. We're opening up that portion of the property to provide the current owner with a view of his yard to the west, and also a view of the patios and the swimming pool that's over there. It's important to bring some additional daylight into that side of the property because as you've probably visited the site, the view of the retaining wall on this side of the property creates just kind of a lower, very shady portion over on this side. And I think that removing some of these trees and allowing the sunlight to come in is just going to help out the patio that's being proposed over here. I should note that a majority of the patio is really just it's grass and porcelain paver, but it's porcelain paver would be pervious.
And I think it'd also be important to note that
here's a site plan.
A lot of this landscaping plan is indigenous material. There is a non-indigenous abundant plain to the, I guess, the northwest that you are saving, which is really commendable. It's a beautiful plant. It really helps the couch in this structure. But if you could speak to the landscape plan, I think it was nicely done.
I will bring it back up if you just bear with me for a moment. Again, I apologize. My computer is just extremely slow at the moment.
While you're doing that, I have a question. We've seen this presentation before.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
So, is there any difference between, or what is the difference between this and the when we first saw this proposal?
The difference between the proposals?
Yes, the current proposal and its predecessor.
Right. Well, so the difference between this proposal and the previous one is that we've brought on a more involved landscape plan, which was a request of the board when we had our first hearing, showing tree removal, tree spacing, additional species information, and tree counts. So we brought on Stacy Paetzel from Marshall Paetzel Landscape Architects. She's here at the hearing tonight and can speak about her plan to create a more in-depth plan using a lot of the same indigenous species that we had previously proposed. At the same time, there was a note at the previous hearing about the driveway being too close to the property line, so that driveway has been moved to the 5-foot distance from the property line on the east side of the property.
Great. Does that conclude your presentation?
I could continue with materials. These are materials, and this is all information that we had provided at our previous presentation. Siding is going to be vertical grain clear cedar with a charcoal stain. We're going to be using a limestone-like porcelain, black aluminum windows, crushed quartz gravel driveway. Here's a rendering of the trellis that's being put in. Okay, well, that concludes the hearing. That concludes my presentation, at least. And,
Great, thank you. I make a motion to close the public hearing. Oh,
Second.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Are there comments from the public? please, is there a neighbor or someone from the public that would like to comment on this project?
Hello?
Yes, please state your name
Yep.
for the record.
Hi, my name's Richard O'Brien. I submitted some questions.
Great.
We reside at 18 Bridge Street. We currently border that area that he had discussed about the driveway. Currently, there's approximately 2 or 3 story bamboo, and it sounds like he wants to remove the landscaping from the west side of the property to the east side. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's to provide additional screening between this house and the condos.
Do you have an idea how tall that is?
I'm going to have to, I think the size is on here, but I'll defer to the landscape architect.
Yeah, they're more than 14 feet. They've got to be like 18 feet high.
Yeah, hi,
They
this
are
is
very
Stacey.
tall.
I'm the landscape architect, and those are going to be existing plants that are transplanted over. So the existing ones are around 18 feet at this point. And I
And
believe
that-
the new ones are proposed at 14 to go in.
Oh, to get out of my, I just need to turn my car and move.
Okay, good. I just wanted to double check because I was going to run after him and grab him if you needed them.
Oh, I think there should be enough room between the pickup truck too that I could back up.
You could be okay backing up, but I was just like, I don't know. With
I
the
know.
trailer.
Excuse me, what is going on, please?
That was someone else.
Definitely.
Well, I'm sorry, will that the existing plants be the total length of the separating property line?
Please speak to the screen that you have going on that north side.
Yes. Hi, this is Stacy again. So the tallest plantings, the green giant arborvitae, go along the entire length of the house. As we get down closer to the driveway, there were some existing deciduous trees we were hoping to save. So those existing, just to clarify, the existing or the proposed screening will go exactly where the bamboo is currently located. So if you can see on the plan, there's a hatched area that shows where the existing bamboo is coming out. And all along that line will be green giant arborvitae evergreen. As you get closer to the street from there, there's some more shrubby material that's going to be planted there. Should be enough to screen out the cars. But we're hoping again to save those deciduous trees that are existing there. So we were going to underplant those.
What do you have between the deciduous trees on that north side?
I believe, Jared, are you able to zoom in a little bit? I think they're bayberry.
Are you able to see this?
Yes. Yes, those are bayberry. Underplanted under the trees there. And there's an existing oak, an existing maple, and an existing cherry tree that would be pretty tall. So the idea was just to underplant those with some shrubbery and to let those larger trees remain to give some scale to the house.
No,
Oh.
no, 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 no.
Will that maple?
Please continue with the questions.
Down, no, down.
Oh my goodness.
All right, I'm muting everybody. There you go.
Okay, great. From the public, did we lose our public? The person who was asking about the, Carrie, do you remember who that was who was asking about the
Yeah,
screening?
Rich O'Brien.
Thank you.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Hi. I just, in regards to the Long Island Avenue, are most of those existing trees going to remain?
We have, yeah, so there are several existing trees. We went through and tried to keep everything that was a nice larger canopy tree. So there's an existing oak and an existing large London plane tree that we are keeping. I think there might be one other tree that's just off the page, Jarrett. I can't quite see that corner. But we kept every tree that was reasonable. Yeah, there's an existing cherry there that we're keeping.
Okay.
And then we were hoping to, if you're familiar with the property, with the adjacent property also owned under the same ownership, we were really hoping to kind of continue that streetscape, at least have some continuity there. It has a nice mix of deciduous trees, evergreens, grasses, some native shrubs. But I've admired that property next door. I can't take credit for designing it, but I always thought it was quite lovely when I would drive down the street, and the plants have all been very successful. So we wanted to take some of what was doing well at the property next door and extend that planting in a little bit more of a natural way in front of this property as well.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions from the public, please?
Yeah, I think that's it, yeah.
It's staying. How long is this gonna take?
From the public, please. Okay, great. I will make that motion to close the public hearing for 81 Long Island Avenue. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So I think that was myself and Bethany.
I did, yes.
Okay, great. Members, I guess we go back to stations and we'll run through the board members and get their feedback.
I'll go first.
Great. Could you please bring up the elevations when you get a chance? So Mrs. Dearman, from memory, can you come up with some questions?
I honestly, I don't have any questions. I feel like we've, you know, observed this and seen everything, and I think it's a nice design. And you know, I like that, you know, the same owner of the two properties, one right next door, and I just feel like that, you know, helps with the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a nice synergy between the properties. Steve Williams, comments?
Yeah, clearly this is an anomaly. Someone who wants to reduce their square footage by 1%, give up a swimming pool. The reasons are clear and obvious why, but it's still unique. So I'm very happy with it. I think the new architecture is very attractive. And, you know, I hope that this will give them the privacy that they are seeking from the new condos.
Great. Val Florio?
Yeah, I think just to recap, the roof line on this structure is a little bit lower, if I recall, because it's a flat roof, but I like the architecture. You know, I said it's a unique situation to have a modern house in the village, but I think on a case-by-case scenario, this is so nicely done that it's a very attractive project. And I think in fairness, I read a letter from the neighbor with regard to, or Mr. O'Brien spoke about the bamboo. And I don't know if that's something that can be used as a buffer during construction, and perhaps they wait until, you know, the house is nearing completion. I'm not sure if that provides any kind of screening. It's a neighborly thing to do if that could hold off until a certain stage of the project. But generally speaking, I thought this was a really nicely done design and I like it.
No, we love you, Val. That is a very neighborly thing to do. Judith, please.
Yeah, my only concern, I've liked this project from the beginning. It's smaller, it's lower, we're losing a pool. I mean, it's great. My only concern was after I read the letters from the neighbors in the condos and was wondering if anything can be done to relieve their pain during construction. But Val's idea seems good, just like try to leave the bamboo and anything to shield them during construction, but
Well,
I'm
I
in
think
favor.
Judith, it's a good point. With any new project, you have to do some clearing to an extent to make room for a septic system or a new feature on the house. But if
Mhm.
that's at all a consideration, just as a neighborly thing to the folks next door, you know, it doesn't, as long as it doesn't hurt the timing of the project, it would be something that could be helpful and maybe mitigate their concerns that we read about.
Bamboo would be perfect, that you can't get better than that.
Right. So, you know, going from the site plan, just to jump in, it looks, you know, some of the bamboo kind of encroaches on parts of the project, so it would have to be removed. But I'm sure that we can take that screening and the comments of the neighbors into consideration. I don't see why we couldn't.
So it's a backhoe, right? So you could leave a strand of bamboo to help mitigate the situation, right?
Dean,
Yes.
Dean, didn't the trustees just pass something about bamboo? It all has to be removed?
Well, it's existing.
No, because if
well,
they
we
have, yeah.
We can ask Harry, who's on the, is it Harry or consultant online
Yeah.
right now?
Harry.
I'll check on the exact status of that.
But, you know, I'm asking the applicant in particular, you don't have to take out that 4 acres of bamboo at the same time. There's some interest from the neighbor to, you know, maybe help save the summer or whatever. Can you leave a strand there and come back and take that out at the end?
You know, I was going to just note, you can see the proposed transplanting here and the large grove of bamboo. Depending on the timing of the transplanting of these trees, you know, we could either leave that 5-foot strip there outside of the driveway, or we could come in and do the transplanting prior to construction.
So the question, I guess, is, I think everyone brought that up. If you could be neighborly and whatever it is, the transplant right away, or at least leave a little strip and then come back and take the rest of it out later, is that something that you would consider?
Just be aware.
Absolutely.
I think you have
Absolutely.
to be aware that that's what most of the the worry is about. So if however you can solve
of
that
course.
part, so that
Okay,
either
so,
the trees are planted, right, Dean? The trees are planted right away. I mean, as quickly as possible. The
So,
transplanting.
If we go to a vote and we approve this, you've heard that, I think, from almost every member who's being sympathetic to the neighbors and construction, because the whole village seems to be under construction. If I were to write down in the conditions that you were going to leave some sort of buffer until, you know,
I don't know if
completion
you
of this project, would you be amenable to that?
I would, yes.
Okay, great.
And Dean, I would like you though, you know, just to find out if that's, if our lawyers say that that's okay for us to do.
To ask someone not to remove all the bamboo at one time, or to
Whatever,
do the
however you want to word it, I just think you need to get your legal whatever.
Okay.
I will follow up with an opinion.
Fair enough, but it would be super neighborly if you could screen, you know, there are a lot of people that live on that north side, and to look at a construction site, which everyone has brought up, and there are letters in the file. And I guess we could wait until next time to vote if you want, but if
I'm sure we can accommodate that. I think it's just a matter, maybe you write in the language that there could be, you know, a certain grace period that no more than X days or weeks or something that the screening would be down. There may just be like, it takes a certain amount of time to remove the bamboo and put the replacement trees in. So we might just want to, if you could word your condition that we have a very small grace period of some sort to remove and then replace that planting.
Absolutely. That's
at some
great.
point. I think
That's
we
what I
can
wanted to
definitely
hear.
accommodate, and we want to, you know, give the neighbors as much protection as we can.
Yeah, is it possible to just say that you'll do that first? Is that possible?
Yeah,
I'd be a
Or no?
little
I'm just
hesitant
curious.
to say that, just because I want to make
Okay.
sure that the heavy construction is done before I move the trees over, just to protect them so that they stay alive. So I kind of like your idea of keeping the bamboo strip if that works, but just until we get like a construction methodology, I don't want to overstep. But yes, I definitely, if we could just say we have, we wouldn't have more than a week or something like that between the screening, the existing buffer coming down and the new buffer going back in. Jared, if that works for you, I think that would give us a little more flexibility and give the neighbors some assurances that they wouldn't be left for months with a big gaping hole between us and them.
I think a week and a half would be more than appropriate. I mean, if you could work with that, that would be great.
Yeah, whatever you think is appropriate, we'll make it happen. Not a problem.
Just a quick question. If you got approval today, when would you break ground?
Well, we still have to receive a building permit.
Okay, post permit. Are you contracted with your contractor already? No.
We are working on that at the moment. We most likely have a contractor picked out, and we would probably start within a couple weeks of receiving our permit.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, thank you for working with us on this important issue. Is there a motion to approve 81 Long Island Avenue with the conditions agreed to on both sides of this? I'll make that a motion to approve 81 Long Island Avenue with conditions of some sort of screening
I'll
that will be
second.
provided.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Val said,
Aye.
Val seconded already.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I make the motion to open the public hearing for 286 Division Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there someone for 286 Division Street?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This is Ricardo Romo Leroux. I am the architect working on the design for 286 Division Street. May I share my screen?
Please.
Jared just has to stop.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so since it's a public hearing, I'm gonna go through the whole project. So we are talking about a corner lot in the corner of Grand Street and Division Street. Right now, there is a split level non-conforming residence that sits in the middle of the property. And there is a couple of sheds and a side. It's a bit unique in the way that it has a lot of topography going across. So on the high side, which is the one facing Grand Street, we're at level 51. And then on the northwest corner, it goes all the way down to 28 elevation. So that is why the existing residence is split level. It is a story and a half facing east and 2 stories facing west. We are proposing to do a more traditional style house. And one important thing to note is that on the Division side across the street, we have the bus depot from the high school. So my client would like to stay away from Division Street as much as possible. So we are trying to push the house back to the west. Still, we have a 33 feet setback from the adjacent property, but the house will be pushed back to the west, and then we will be a 30 feet setback from Grand Street.
I have a quick clarification that I need. You have 2 front yards. So that pool, do you have a variance for that pool?
Yeah, no, so with regards to the pool, we are applying for a variance. Obviously, we're not granted the variance, we would just squeeze the pool on the north side, but I think we haven't been granted a variance for the pool yet.
Great, thank you.
The house that we are proposing, it's a half an acre lot. The house that we're proposing is 3,790 square feet, which is what the GFA allows. The reason we're in the public hearing is because the house that we're proposing is over the 3,000 square foot threshold. The drawing that you're looking right now, it's kind of a superimposed site plan on the existing area of the house. So what we're trying to show here is the location of the improvements and also to show the vegetation buffer around the house which exists in this area. This one is what we are trying to change, even though the address is 286 Division, we would like to change the front of the house to Grand Street. So this is the Grand Street elevation. When I proceed later onto the site plan, you'll see, but basically this is where the topography starts changing. So what we are proposing to do is a sloping driveway that goes down so that we can have access to a basement level garage underneath the house. And then there will be a traditional house. This hand sketch was done over a 3D SketchUp model, so the proportions are very accurate. They were done on a computer. I guess it was just done by hand for artistic purposes. Then this will be the Grand Street elevation. We are, a lot of these, with the exception of the hedges and some of the smaller plantings, all the large trees that you see are existing, and we are proposing to keep them. I can go, when we go to the site plan, I can show the smaller evergreens in the middle of the property that we are planning to take out. They are maybe like 10 feet high, 12 feet high, so they're definitely not mature. And there is one large tree that is leaning to the side, and I can show you a picture later on. And it is on the back of the property, so it's none of the trees that face the street. The house, it's red cedar shingles. We have a off-white horizontal siding on the front, with the rest of the house being white cedar shingles. Trims are a dark gray, just the blue is just the front door. We do have a retaining wall that this is the stone that we are proposing. And this will be the elevation from Division Street, also keeping the mature trees. I must note that the house that you see here is 68 feet from the property line. So it's not close to the street in the version that we're proposing. Then moving on to the landscape plan. So a lot of the trees along the property line on the street, on both streets, are actually existing. We are adding the hedges, so 4-foot privet hedges with a fence behind, so you don't really see the fence from at least in the summer. We are proposing here a row of Leland cypress in an opening that there is in between the existing trees. And then if we are granted the variance, we are also proposing a row of arborvitaes with a 20-foot setback from the street to screen the pool from, so it will be almost like a double screening from Division Street. On this side is the sloping side that the dash lines are the contours that we are adjusting just to fit the house, but the rest are remain untouched. And this will be almost like a lower garden that is really not visible from any of the streets. On previous presentations, the major concern that you had was that the west elevation seemed quite large, but that is where the house is unavoidable because we are exposing the basement on this side just because of the topography. So what we are proposing to do is do a buffer of, we could go with more grown Leland cypresses to block the part of the house that is exposed. So there is a open front yard. The retaining wall is a gray line going here. We have hedges with a fence. The driveway, the sloping part is cobblestones, and then we have gravel in the flat part. And then this is where underneath where you would enter the garage. And then what we want to do is, even though it's the front is a corner lot, but we want to keep most of the garden like facing Division Street. That is, if we are granted the variance. Here are the architectural elevations. This is the Grand Street elevation. This is the north elevation, which is basically the corner of both neighboring properties, which is secluded by woods. So it's not exposed, but this is basically looking from the low point of the site. This will be the Division Street elevation. The lower drawing is basically showing the screening, even though it has, you saw on the other rendered elevation the more accurate representation, but it's just to show what will be seen from the street on this case. This is the west elevation facing the neighboring property on the west. There is a wooded buffer in between, and also this elevation is sitting 30 feet from the property line. What we would want to do is put grown Leland cypresses right where my mouse cursor is, so that when you're looking from the street, kind of the view of the house ends here. So what is shown in this square, in the stone hatch, is basically the basement level, which we would clad in stone, and also we could camouflage it with the landscaping too, and maybe have some ivy growing, so that the house doesn't look like a 3-level house, but we're trying to break the 3-story elevation in the side where the basement has been exposed. Layouts, some landscape images. This is existing site, just with the red lines marking the existing elevation. So you can see an idea of the neighboring properties. In prior meeting, not sure if it is necessary for the public hearing, but we mapped some houses in the neighborhood that are of comparable sizes. And this was presented to you in the last meeting. Also, this is the Division Street site, going where these pictures are basically going from Grand Street all the way to Germain, just to show that basically, because the high school is across the street, all the properties along Division Street in front of the high school have been hedged. So it's a different, I guess, urban landscape from what we normally see in the village in just these couple of blocks on Division Street. And so I think I can conclude my presentation and proceed to any questions that you may have.
It's good.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from the public, please?
Yes, yes, yes.
We hear you.
Can you hear me, Carrie?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'd like to read something if I may.
Please state your name for the record.
Yes, I'm Dawn Smith, and I live next door at 23 Grand Street, which is in my letter. Okay. My family and I live at 23 Grand Street, the next door property to 286 Division on the west side. We share a 150-foot property line and have major concerns about the scale and design of the new house. The proposed house is massive. It has 24 windows facing the west side, including a 24-foot high double bank of 8 windows. From November to mid-May, when our trees facing the property do not have leaves, those 24 windows will peer into our bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, den, and front porch. During those months, the west side of 286 Division Street house will also be visible when one drives up Grand Street going east, presenting a bunker-like facade with a 72-foot retaining wall, a 6-foot stockade fence, and an exposed basement. The proposed landscape screening of the house is grossly inadequate, poorly chosen for sustainability, and will take decades to reach the desired height. In the April 8th meeting, Dean Gomulka suggested that research be done as far as the house is concerned and stated the square footage need to take into context the homes close to this space. So it would be interesting to know in some research you will hopefully do for us the square footage of next door properties so we have something to judge the size of this house and to take into context the homes next door. The code may say something, but we have the purview to work within the confines of neighboring structures. That is a very important point. The next door and close proximity properties were not accurately presented in the April 22nd meeting. The next door properties to 286 Division Street are 280 Division, which is 786 square feet, and 23 Grand Street, our home, which is 1,587 square feet. Directly across the street to the east, 298 Division Street is 1,400 square feet. And the two properties across the street to the south, 26 Grand Street, are 986 square feet, and 291, pardon me, is 1,600. All Grand Street houses between Division and Madison are less than 2,000 square feet, except for the newly built 20 Grand Street built by the same developer as 286. 286 Division Street is squarely in the Sag Harbor Historic District. Of the comparable properties the architect presented as support for the large size of this new house, only 2 out of 7 of those examples are in the Historic District, 274 Division and 268 Madison Street. 12 Harrison and 26 Harrison Street, which I checked with Carrie, have a very small corner, a very tiny corner of properties in the district. During the discussion, Judith Long reminded the architect that in the discussion that we are a village of little houses. Nowhere more than in the historic district does this statement matter. 286 Division Street is not a little house. The erosion of the historic district with massive properties whose mission of more is more has become a battle of the builders. The historic homes are becoming the exception to the rule. And with so many bigger houses dwarfing the historic property, there's a risk of creating a Disney-like feel out of these original precious historical homes. We urge you to look at the design of 286 Division Street carefully from the context of the neighborhood. We also have serious concerns about the sloping land in the northwest quadrant, which drops off over 25 feet in sloping grade that will be supported solely by a 6-foot stockade fence. There is no plan for drainage to prevent being washed out, as Mr. Gomulka warned in the last meeting. He asked about a dry well so that neighbors did not come back screaming that they were being washed out. What is the solution for that issue? The landscaping details and the removal of large trees on this property is vague. and also concerning. There are many large, beautiful trees, including a white pine and oaks along the north and east border that have not been accounted for on the current plans. Are they remaining or will they be removed? Is there a plan for replanting the 2 trees that were mentioned in the last meeting on the western side, very large trees that are being removed for grading, as well as the above mentioned trees that didn't appear in the plan? Is there an accountability that the promised landscaping, screening, and replanting will be guaranteed? We ask that you consider the vocabulary of the neighborhood when carefully reviewing this proposal of 286 Division Street so that it preserves the legacy and integrity of the historic district. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the comments. Are there other comments from the public, please? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to comment on this project?
There were some letters. I know that other neighbors wrote letters.
Okay. Well, I don't have those letters before me to read it into the record. Do you have a couple of those, Carrie, at all?
Carrie Mayer wrote a letter. She sent me a copy.
Carrie,
There's taking a break.
Yes.
would as far as one of the neighbors' letters, can you read a couple letters into the record?
Mayor Dianora wrote to you.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Problem. Okay, this one is from Dinara Mayer. Questions for ARB 286 Division Street. This house is not to scale with the neighboring houses on the block, both Grand and Division Street. In the 422 meeting, many of the board members mentioned this house was too large for the lot. Yet it is within the buildable size for the lot, which makes me ask, how does the ARB handle the scale of homes if it is within the allowable code for the lot? The trend in the village is clearly to build very large homes. See 20 Grand Street on the same block. The average house size in the US, according to the Census Bureau, is 2,687 square feet. Houses in the historic village are not traditionally large, but this new formula is not challenged. And can it be with current code? I am also wondering how privacy to the neighbors is handled in the board's consideration. Did I count correctly that there are over 20 windows, some rather large, facing the house next door on 23 Grand Street? Thank you, Mara Denora and Clay Brondel, 26 Grand Street. And I don't know if there's, let me just see if there's any more.
Thank you, Carrie.
I have the one from Dawn. That is all the letters that we have.
Great. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
One of the side effects of Zoom meetings. You get stuck with that. Maybe not next time. I make a motion to close the public hearing. 286 Division Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that's myself and Judith. Okay, so I just had some quick questions about the landscape, and then I would like to just the things I pointed out last time, and then I would like to jump to the elevations of the architecture really, and have the board members ask questions. So these are things that I asked last time. I think it's important just to get that out there. The details on the, for the walls need dimensions, all the details in general need dimensions, materials, walls need to be engineered, showing how the cladding works. You have a lot of walls being exposed to the public view. If this is something that some sort of cladding or, veneer that stuck on there, we should, and for, some of these walls are 9 feet tall. This should be fleshed out. We should understand how you're capping these walls and how that's all working, the dimensions and the wood. You have the posts that go higher than the fence itself. The code's 4 feet in some places. So we want to know that it's all meeting the 4-foot code. So obviously those posts would have to come down. So those details need to be fleshed out, and the plant list should be, botanical names, heights, spacing, as such. The last being the hedge along the street. The hedge has to be 3 feet offset from the property line. It's really important. The driveway, the finished, the grading plan just needs to be a little bit more detailed. The driveway, the finished floor of the garage would be important in showing how that drainage is working with the courtyard. We just need that information. It looks like now that all the water is flying into the garage and then possibly into the neighbor's yard. You were saying something about a garden in the northwest corner. Is that going to be left natural or not? So we know that you're not washing out the neighbor. That is a problem with these sites that are steep and grade. The wall, on the wall, what is that guardrail? That's again a detail thing. We're an aesthetic board. We want to know how this is being worked out. We don't want to wait until later to see how this is fleshed out. On the wall on Grand Street, the hydrangea, the deer will go and eat those, and you have a wall that protrudes over 9 feet. So it'd be nice to see how you would buffer that. And as it's been brought up by the neighbor, there are over X amount of 20 windows. That should be somehow mitigated some way in some planting, and not just one, I think, monolithic green wall, but something that is interested and works with that landscape. Existing trees, you have existing trees noted on the plan, but it doesn't say that they're going to be existing next year. So existing trees should be noted to remain or to be removed, and that should be noted on the trees. There are significant plant materials. It's quite a collection on that site. It'd be super important to know what's going on with that. Is there a service gate? Why I ask is that you have one gate to the whole gigantic property. It's 4 feet. Usually, people have equipment. So blasting a gate somewhere else along, one of the streetscapes would be interesting for us to know. That would be of interest. And then these are just things that should be on the plan for us to be able to really pick this apart. So if we could go to the elevations and concentrate on the architecture, that'd be great to get some comments from the board. Judith, right out of the gate, these 4 elevations.
I think the
Steve?
What?
Steve was saying something. Okay, so Judith.
Well, I of course am very concerned. I want to thank Dawn Smith for her letter and for coming to the public hearing, because I think her letter was full of information, and she did a huge amount of research, finding out the square footage of all the houses nearby. It was a very moving letter, and listening to her, her words made me feel that this whole project is just, it has a lot to say about Sag Harbor and the historic district and where the whole village is going with architecture. And I don't know that our board can influence that, but something has to be done. Now, the windows, the bank of windows, I'm wondering if there can be fewer windows, or can they at least be
The banquet hall.
yeah, they can, could they at least be covered by trees? But I don't know. I just, that's a very imposing wall of windows.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think that's something that I think my client will be willing to agree. It is the side of the house that is really not looking at the garden, it's looking at the driveway. So we could certainly just reduce the number of windows and reduce the bigger ones and the ones on the stairwell, we could reduce them to give, to respect the neighbor's privacy.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Because I really think that your main focus here, or a main focus, should really be on the neighbors and the neighborhood, the scale of the neighboring houses, how the neighbors all feel about this house going up here. Anything you can do to be neighborly would be a good thing.
Okay, so Judith, you're looking at the west elevation. Can we go to another elevation so she can look at the opposite side?
This will be the east elevation. So this is a side facing division, which just to remind, it's 68 feet from the property line.
This is facing division.
Division, yeah. So it's facing the high school, the bus depot in front. There is a neighboring house next to the bus depot, and then the high school.
Again, these are these giant windows or giant doors right in the middle here?
Yeah, these are even further set back. So basically, where my mouse is pointing, this part is 68. The house is, let me go back to the plan. So the house is an L shape. So the big windows that you were asking are the ones on this wall.
Division Street.
And they're looking onto Division.
They're looking into Division, yes.
Okay. Again, it seems like a lot of windows. And are you sure you want all these windows looking onto Division?
Just because it's so far away from the property, my client wished that he would have a view of the garden.
Okay.
That's basically why they're having those big windows there. The side facing Grand Street and then the side facing Division that is closer to the street, they have more traditional windows. So it will be this side. And then going back up to the Grand Street side, it will be this one. I
mean, lots of the aspects of this design are quite nice, and it's nice that you have the garage hidden underneath the house. That's a plus. I'm mostly concerned with the windows and the scale.
And the scale.
Yeah, that's my comment.
So, I mean, ideally, I think the window size on their own, it's certainly something that my client would want to agree on reducing, just to respect the neighbors. It was not our intention to invade their privacy or anything, but it's again, also, as I said, this side of the property is just looking into the woods and then the neighbors. So we want to focus the view on the opposite side. So we will want to focus looking east onto the garden on Division Street.
Okay,
so
before I go
we
to
will have no problem.
Yeah.
Before we go to the next member, I would just like to ask 3 quick questions. The total square footage of this house again for me, please, is?
So we have 3,790 square feet. So we have 2,111 on the ground floor and 1,678 on the second floor.
And secondly, the pyramid lines for this home, was that approved by a building inspector? People take liberties where they choose to to pull that elevation from. Was that approved by anybody official at the village?
My understanding is that the plans have been reviewed by the building inspector before we went to the ARB.
And what is the percentage of the exposed basement? You have it looks like a lot of exposed. What is the percentage that is exposed that makes a third, really an operable third story here? So I was just curious, what is, do you have that
I
percentage?
mean, it's basically this side is the west side and the north side. So I don't have the exact answer, but it's because we have the L, it will be maybe 40%. So it is
Almost there.
aside.
Now, where does
will
that
be-
come in? What is that percentage where that becomes like an issue?
I would say, just roughly looking, because we have the L, I would say 35 to 40%, but I can, so we have, if you give me some time, I can get you the number.
I'd be curious to know. Val Florio.
Yes, sir. So, well, I have a few comments about the architecture, but this is a hypothetical question because we're looking at a swimming pool that needs a variance. So generally speaking, you know, it's strange because this is a rear yard ingredient, which is facing primary street in the village, you know, division. I know it's across from the bus depot, but it's still, you know, it's somewhat of a front yard. And, you know, I think that those windows that Judith pointed to with the amount of glass, it has a lot to do with speaking to that thing as a rear yard because it's a pool. So my question is this: if the variance, which is a hypothetical, that if that doesn't go through, this house has been sort of shoehorned into the neighbor's side of the property. And if you look at the grade, the reason why this foundation is so greatly exposed, because it's going into, you know, there's a slope. I'm saying if the pool, again, we don't know if that's a guarantee, but if that's not going to be approved, I feel like this house would be better served a little bit closer to the middle of the property. What that's going to do is reduce the exposure. And then I'll look at this bump out, which occurs by the garage. The roof has a change in the roof pitch.
Can we go to the elevations, please?
Yes, please. Yep. So this appendage looks like something, it's not a fluid addition. It looks like, well, first off, it's not an addition. It looks like an ingredient that was just plunked onto this house. And I almost feel like the roof, is that a double height great room? What is that?
That is a stairwell. And if you allow me, I can go to the rendering and explain.
No, I think, yeah,
is to
okay,
break
so
the
staircase,
length of
but if you look at that elevation, if you could go back to that, please.
Yes.
So I feel that the roof behind that roof that's poking out, if that truly is a staircase, you know, then the roof doesn't have to be so tall because this mass is quite big. So if the roof, the roof facing the street came down over the staircase, these four banks of windows, I think it's going to greatly reduce that volume to the point where it doesn't read like this element, you know, it's just a wall of glass, you know, to the point if it's a staircase, I could see maybe two windows in the center and that roof coming down, it's going to really cozy up this house. But I think the key thing is the exposure of the concrete. If you look at the back of this house, you know, you could mitigate some of that while you could still keep the garage, but you would have dirt, which would come up to those windowsills at the very least, maybe a retaining wall on the back of the house where you would have the doors.
Val,
So-
can I just ask you a quick question, professional question? At what point, what percentage of exposed basement becomes by code a third story? He said he's like at 35 to 40%.
3 sides of the building have to be encompassed by dirt, and it depends on the building code. It can be a proportion of foundation that pokes out of the ground. And if I'm familiar with our code, no more than 6 feet can project above the grade. Otherwise, it's not constituted as basement.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, if this house were pushed over a little bit more, those contours might start to come into the building and I think reduce the exposure of the stone. But I think that the stair ingredient doesn't need to be as exaggerated as this is. And I think that before we left off at the last meeting, I thought the house has sort of a modern flavor to it. And generally speaking, the houses in this area are very cottage-like. And I know that we're telling folks to make a break so it doesn't confuse the architecture, but at the same time, I think that cantilevered slab on the front just looks a little bit too fast forward for me. And I think that about sums up what I have to say about this design.
Bethany Dearman?
I agree with the amount of windows and the scale of the house with the neighborhood, that it is, you know, it's too large, but the side that we're looking at now, like when I saw the front of the house, I said, you know, I liked it a lot. When I see this, when I first looked at it, I was like, wow, it almost doesn't look like it belongs with the rest of the house. And I think you're right, of course, Val, about that stairway and all of the amount of windows and whatever we can do to reduce that, I think would be good.
Steve Williams?
Clearly, first of all, I'm sorry to the neighbor who read the letter. Your letter was very compelling. And it really talks to some of the tensions that are in the village. I'm doing a zoning with my neighbors, a zoning look, and we consider a McMansion anything larger than my house. But that being said, you know, it looks like they've used every possible inch of the pyramid and everything else. I agree with both the Judith and Val's observations. This is an imposing building
Very much.
next to a school, and more importantly, next to neighbors that are 40% and less of the square footage of the structure. So anything that can be done, I think, to make it be less imposing and conform more with the neighborhood. I think what Val has said, what Judith has said, Bethany, it's all on target here.
Bob Adams?
I like what Val said also. And it is, it's like somebody dropped this big house down in the middle of a small neighborhood. And I'm not really impressed with it.
You know, I think someone said like the Grand Street side is attractive, and then what happens to the west side and the east side in the site. I guess in my mind's eye, a lot depends on, you know, how this house is placed. And it seems like this house is being dictated by the pool location, where we should be thinking about the structure first. as Val said, if this house is more centered, just to work with the grades, you would take a lot of massing out, and I think the owner would be better served, going through this process and, really improving the aesthetics of this home. I mean, the pieces are there. It's just, what's bothering me is this third story thing that's happening on the west side is something I'm going to definitely look back into in some of these pyramid lines. But I think just because of the massing is really coming forefront now, especially on that west side. So I think it's like the cart before the horse kind of thing. We're supposed to. It's hard to make a call on this because of a pool, which could make all the aesthetic difference in the world of how you locate this house. So I'm almost ready to move the table if applicant, do you have some questions for us? Is there anything here that we've said that?
No, you have been very clear. I understand the point of the especially the west side having too many windows, being too large, especially compared to the Grand Street. So we will take your comments and proceed to hide the house behind the topography so that the basement is not exposed and reduce the size of the windows. And I will talk to my client and see what we do about the pool, whether we wish to proceed with a variance or we just decide to move it.
Just as an aesthetic aside, I think the pool's in the wrong location. There's so much grade where you can do so many fun things with the pool on that northwest side, where you can get really creative and not do all these massive stairs and walls, and you take some of the grandioseness of the west side. You could really. I like the south side of this house. I think there's something going on there. It's lost with trying to place this pool on Madison. It's Division, Madison.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the location of the pool was guided, and we knew that it requires a variance to begin with, but it was guided in the sense that the client wanted to be as far away from the bus people, basically just for noise. So keeping the house on that side, and then putting the pool in a sunny location. But it's something that can be revisited to take onto the comments that you have made at this hearing.
Are there any comments from the board? Great. So, sir, hopefully that was helpful. It seems like the volume is a crux here. It's problematic. Seeing that the biggest house in the house on that street is 2,000 square feet and 1,500 and 700, another 1,500. I think working with the grade and not having the pool drive this project could be super helpful. And those are my comments. And you heard some great comments from the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I make a motion to adjourn 286 Division Street, please.
Did you say adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
I mean, table. Sorry. Thank you.
Not yet.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Okay, discussion items. 19 Walker Street, please.
Alex Kriegsman is here for it. Well, he was.
We can second call that. 132 Germain Avenue.
Happy June.
Hi. Hi, my name's Katie Lead. I'm here with Kevin Clark from Historical Concepts. I'm the owner of the property, and I'm a new resident of Sag Harbor. I'm happy to be a part of the community. I really applaud all of your sensitivity to everything going on in the village. Love this. I also have a shop here. I'm going before the board because I'm gonna just turn it right over to Kevin, but I just so you get a sense of why I'm even asking for this is because I am an artist as well. I have a textile interior design. I'm looking to do an art studio in the back in this old shed, and then do like a glass little structure in the back. It's just small off of the existing porch, because it's just a beautiful little environment there in the backyard. So that's it.
Can we see the elevations, please? And then we'll have Zach chime in on your plans of raising this structure, this non-conforming old beautiful structure, and we'll just go from there. We'll start with the facts and go forward.
Sounds great. I'm happy to pull it up here. Again, my name is Kevin Clark. I'm an architect with HPARB Historical Concepts, working with Katie here on the project. 132 Germain Avenue, located between Madison and Division. Got some photos of the existing house here. You can see in the upper left, front elevation. Here we go. White sided house, lap siding on the front here, and then natural shingles on the side. It's got a tight driveway condition here on the right hand side as you face the street. Very simple trim on the front of the house you can see here, and then the rear of the house, which is the area of that we're looking to do a slight addition. This existing deck we just want to enclose. We'll show you a sketch of that in just a minute. You can see that sort of from a few different angles. And then the artist studio, as Katie said, here in the back, this existing garage, which is seen both from the front and the side, is sort of falling apart. So looking at building that in the spirit of what's there, and pulling the wood out of the dirt that's there right now, putting a slab in there, and giving Katie a great artist studio there. Just to cite ourselves and look at the setbacks, you can see here's Germain over here on the left, the front stoop right there, the existing wood deck here, and the stairs that are existing today, and then there's that framed garage in the back kissing the property line right there, within 0.1 inches. And so here's really the focus of our proposal, a new stoop in the front, and we'll see how that renders on the front elevation, proposing a slight awning, architectural cover. B is the additional sunroom that we talked about in the back, and then reconfiguring the stairs within that footprint. And then C, the artist studio, that gives us a little hang space and workspace in the backyard. So on the front, you're channeling some of the other homes in the neighborhood, in the historic district. Simple door surround and slight brackets with an entablature to give her a little bit of cover. Felt like the existing, though obviously we don't have any historic photos, but felt like the existing was just a little too simple for what we see so often on these homes in Sag Harbor. And then looking at just a slightly larger stoop and giving a little welcoming bench here on the front as well. So we'll drag that stoop out right now. I think the stoop just measures about 2 feet, but give ourselves a good, I think we were looking at 48 inches to give ourselves sort of a welcoming zone on the front. And then you can see in the plan how we're addressing the back. So just adding this sunroom here on top of the existing deck. The rear porch exists today, and then we're just splitting the stairs. It's a wide stair in the back right now. So where today this whole stair that's about 8 feet wide goes up, we're actually doing an up and a down so we can access the lower level. And so underneath that deck and what will be the new sunroom, adding a bedroom, a closet, and then a bathroom in their basement. So what does this look like from the back here? Our sunroom addition, really channeling some of the almost a greenhouse or conservatory look on the back, taking that gable that exists today and effectively just extending it extending it out, but introducing some casement windows, giving it sort of a light and fresh feeling, but I'd say sympathetic in form, but also sort of an opportunity to show that it is in fact an addition. And then you can see some new foundation windows in place, obviously, of the lattice that's there today. And then how that renders on the front, on the two side elevations. This pink line sort of showing the existing wall and roof mass today. And then everything from here over is our addition. And then moving to the garage and in the back here. Sorry, was there a question?
Not yet, no.
All right, great. Moving to the garage in the back. Again, really just building in the spirit of what's there. Actually using the same roof form, but we are gonna proposing to lift it up a full foot. Katie is 5'11", I think Avril's 6'4". So given just a little bit more.
6.5, and our kids range from 6'3" to 6'8".
Very tall family. Not an old whaling family.
But we do like to get around, see the world, bring back good stuff.
So given Katie some great light and natural light with these casement windows, wrapping the corner here, and then the simple door here as well, in place, obviously, the garage doors. But really, again, keeping the character the same. I think we proposed essentially about a 12-inch height difference. So you can see again that pink line, dash line is indicating the existing roof pitch and height from grade, and so we're just picking it up 12 inches. And then just for in terms of the pyramid law and the massing here, you can see obviously we're asking for a variance here. Felt like it was sort of most appropriate to continue that roof mass out, recognizing it's sort of in that setback zone, but carrying that gable through felt more appropriate to us than stepping and building on top of the foundation that we have today with that deck. And then in the garage, just that slight 12-inch additional height. And then for the main house, looking at just using the cedar shingles on the conservatory, the sunroom part, and then we thought about doing a lead-coated copper roof on the accessory on the garage, the new artist studio. And that's, I think, concludes what I have.
I have a couple of things. This is a discussion, and we could probably move forward with plans and things. But I think what we could do, Zach was on the site and he did review, and he thought, enclosing the deck was not a major issue. It's the gentrification of the front of the house. And do you know what the story of this house was? Was it a commercial structure? Was it always residential?
To my knowledge, it was always residential. I think it was owned by a shop owner in town. Is that
that's
right?
right. It was owned by I should know the name of the family, but they had a butcher shop.
Bupka.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
It was Bubka, the golfer.
Yep, it's the house he probably grew up in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Thank you for that.
So it's too bad that we lost Zach, because there is a gentrification that's going on with this. So maybe I'll get him to write something in the interim about this, and what the legality is, if there is one, of that historic shed in the back being raised at all, because it is non-conforming and right on the property line. So we could probably get a letter out to you. But with that, I will run through the board with their initial comments, and we'll get something out from Zach sometime in the near couple days.
Can I ask you a question? I was confused. I wasn't sure if the shack in the back was original to the house. There is some old wood in there, but there was a question mark about how old it was.
Right.
We're gonna have that clarified and we will get a
Okay.
letter to you regarding your proposal. And so we can just move forward on this. Bethany?
I'm good with the back and with the glass, and I know my I actually like the front, but I like the front. I'm sure Zach will tell me that it's not the correct period or whatever, so I'm going to, of course, when the time comes, go.
I'll just
you
hear what
know,
he has to say. You
Listen
can
to
vote.
what my Zach has to say and go from there.
You're supposed to just absorb what he has to say and make a decision. So, you
Yes.
know, you
So
vote
I'm
the way
gonna
you
wait.
feel.
So I'm gonna wait for him to tell me.
Steve Williams. Steve. Steve Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry, I was muted. I'm pretty much where Bethany is. Yeah, the gentrification that you call it is kind of attractive, but I don't think it's going to get by Zach. So, I mean, the shutters and the door entrance, I just don't think it's going to get by him. That being said, if we turn to the back of the house, I don't have any problems with the sort of sunroom. I'm not sure that the split stairs is going to work with Zach either, with the historical, let's not make it personal, historical
He
limitations.
seemed okay when we went and saw it, right? I mean, he seemed okay with it, Dean, right? I would say, with the stairs.
Okay, well, that's good news.
Yeah.
So the other thing that really is the garage to the art studio comes into question because of its proximity to property lines and whether it's historic or not. If it's not, probably can't be maintained at the property line. But anyway, those are my comments.
We'll get a letter out to clarify these things. And, we just take, Zach is our consultant. You take what he has to say and you make a decision on your own.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All good. Bob Adams.
I think we should wait for Zach and see what his letter has to say.
This guy has too much cloud here. I have to straighten that out.
Yeah.
Judith, please.
I would have to say that, well, first of all, I love the studio. I think it's fabulous. And since it's grandfathered in, can't it stay where it is? I mean, that's where it is. It's non-conforming.
It's just moving it up and down. Can you do that because it's a non-conforming structure? So it's just a clarification.
Yeah.
You can dig down, right?
I'm all for non-conforming structures. I think that's what Sag Harbor is all about. The more non-conforming, the better, in my opinion, because that's the way Sag Harbor is. Nothing conforms. Everything is built on property lines. I can shake hands with my neighbor out the window. So that's Sag Harbor. But anyway.
Judith, I have to tell you, I met with Tom, the former building guy, and he told me that I was working on a non-conforming lot. And I said, I think the lot is conforming. I think it's the code that's non-conforming. The property came
so
first.
right. You were so right. I think we want to be non-conforming if at all possible. I'm pretty sure that Zach will not approve of the suggestions for the front, and I know that I'm a shutter phobic person, so I look at those shutters and I say, please get those shutters off of there. But that's just me. I mean, you would have to explain to me why you think the house should have shutters and what's historic about them. I like the way it looks, though. I agree with everyone. It looks great. I just don't think it's historic. So that's that. Anyway, and I also want to thank you for your presentation because it's clear and it has everything. It has elevations, it has renderings, you explained it beautifully. Thank you.
I agree, Judith. Yeah, that was good.
Bob Adams, how do you feel about this project?
I think I said, well, I'll wait for Zach.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. He did. Yeah.
Did I hit everybody? We're all good?
No,
Everybody's good.
About Val.
Oh, Val.
Oh, yeah, dear Val.
I actually like, I'm gonna have an opinion that I don't need to wait for Zach. But I actually like these embellishments to the roadside. I think between the little picket fence and the shutters and that semblance of roof overhang, you know, it's adding some character. If you look at this house after it's been renovated, like it's got exposed concrete foundation. Zach would not have approved, but I think speaking to the architecture, it just looks so plain. And what the applicant is proposing is really, it's adding charm to it. I don't even think the front door on this house is, you know, from the renovations which have been done to it, you know, they've sort of diminished the look a little bit. And I think what the applicant is doing is adding some sort of fabric of history to this home. So that's my 2 cents. But we'll wait for Zach to say yay or nay to the.
Just so you know, Val, charm was our goal.
Yeah, well, you definitely have it on paper. There's a lot of feelings to your drawings, and I thought it's an excellent presentation, and I like the direction that you're going with it.
So I think we're ready to go to plans. We'll get you that letter from our consultant and a legal number from, I guess, Liz, regarding like if you can move this thing up and down because it's non-conforming. Judith, I love non-conforming. I live in something that's strange. But the fact that you have it,
non-conforming, the better.
if you can move it up and down is a whole other thing.
So
But
Judith, you can look at it this way, that the shutters are non-conforming.
Oh, well, that's true. Okay, I changed my mind.
great presentation, like they said. I think it's gonna be a great addition to the village.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. We'll look forward to hearing from Zach.
Beautiful.
Thank you all.
Yeah,
have a good night.
Thank
So,
you.
Terry, do you have any more surprise applications for us to review tonight?
No, I don't.
You're good?
Maybe
I
next.
thought you had one that you said got changed to a discussion, no?
Yeah, 115 Franklin Avenue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's with that?
You said that's discussion, so.
Yeah, Dean, you forgot that one. That's your surprise.
Okay. Franklin Avenue.
Yeah.
Is that person here?
Yeah, Frederick
Yes.
Weber is here.
Great.
Yes. Oh, I'm trying to pull up. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Hi, how are you? I'm Fred Weber. I'm the architect for the project at 115 Franklin Avenue. We're making hoping to make some minor changes to the house. It's an existing one-story house. I don't know if Carrie, can you bring that up? Hello?
So just so everybody is aware, they want to put a deck in the front yard. They have 2 front yards, unfortunately, for them. So they will need a variance for that.
Right. I had I guess probably a little misunderstanding with the building department. I didn't realize that a deck, attached to the house qualified, I guess, as an accessory structure. I thought it was considered part of the principal house. So I think I misunderstood what they had, what I had discussed. But that being said, I did hear today that we would need a variance for a house in that location. That is the floor plan. So I guess maybe just to deal with the deck last, what they're trying to do is change a few windows in the house. If you look on the east side, there's a small projection, and that projection is currently a laundry room and a closet. And they wanted to make that into a bathroom.
Can we? I'm sorry, sir. Can we go to some elevations, please?
I'm pulling them up right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I mean, you'll see the elevations in a minute, but there's 4 like octagonal windows on that projection that I'm not sure have too much historic significance. All they are interested in doing is putting a single double hung window on the east side that would bring light into the bathroom, but not, you know, not have the other windows that currently exist.
The house isn't historic, of course. And
I think the elevator, yeah, I did see him. Okay,
there you go.
there we go. So if you look at the, it went away.
But we had it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So on the south elevation, you can see one of the octagonal windows. On the east, you can see two. And there's a matching window on the north elevation to the one on the south. So what we're proposing to do there is simply slide over those windows with the same, you know, natural cedar siding. Install, in a sense, a matching double hung window in the center of what will become the bathroom. Then on the west side, there is like a projecting fixed window that I think it used to have a door there because it has steps that lead out to an existing terrace. But we want to actually put a door there, a sliding door that would allow access to that what was that terrace and what we're proposing to have as a deck there. And then also add a window on the, I guess, the north side of the west elevation. To give that's light from like a dining area, you know, provide light into a dining area that's in that corner. So back to the deck, I guess, is, you know, there is an existing patio in that location that's actually a little larger than the deck. I mean, they wanted to elevate it. They used to live in North Haven, and they were concerned about ticks, and that's probably the main reason they want to elevate the deck. I don't know, you know, how all that comes in, but the concept was to, you know, put a deck that would be probably, I don't know, 16, 18 inches above grade, put a surrounding board. It would be a, yeah, there we go. It would be a, you know, an Ipe deck, all natural with steps down to the north. And I guess beyond the, you know, the variance situation, which I guess I have to investigate next, that would be the, and then as far as the screening here, we're actually, we're going to be, well, this is actually an older view, Gary. Because I did add landscape, and we were told that we needed to add some landscaping around the deck. And the newest elevations and site plans do have that added. There are existing around the property in sort of an L shape on the west and the south side, some green giant trees that do a partial screening. And then around the deck itself, we were proposing some skip laurels to screen the deck from the front and side yard.
So I did speak to our council today, and they're like, yes, we definitely need to ask them to apply for a variance because you'll need one. So
okay.
my question to you is, say you don't get this variance and there's that double door there, you could always put some steps to go down to I guess the terrace.
There's actually steps there already.
I just want to throw this out because you could come back in 2 weeks, presumably, with a window schedule or something that calls out all the trim and all this great stuff. I think getting rid of those octag, I'm just speaking for my own self.
Right.
And so you could come in with a whole thing that we could presumably approve. And then while you work on that zoning issue, which should not be a big deal because there is something there already. We just have to, dot that I and cross that T.
Right.
If I could ask the other board their opinion, but that's where I would go with that.
There was, I should probably mention two other things. There's a tree which overhangs their garage. And I was told that they need special permission, or I guess architectural review board permission to take the tree down. Is that something that you can comment on as well?
Well, if you put it on the plan, you have a good reason why you want to take it down.
Yeah, it is on the plan, and then there is a picture of it that's shown as well.
What
So
what kind of tree is it?
It's an oak. It's a large oak, but the whole tree overhangs the garage and sort of, it's kind of
there's
doing a.
Like you wouldn't, when you walk by the house, definitely like the Franklin Avenue side. I mean, you don't, I mean, I know it's because it's on the corner that it's considered a front yard, but it's, there are so many trees there, it's pretty. That whole area, that little patio or whatever, you don't even realize it's there because
Yes.
of
I know.
the trees and things.
Yeah, you see it a little more from the Hempstead side, the south side.
I guess.
But it's not terribly visible now.
No.
Okay, so Bethany, how do you feel
Yeah.
about, other than the deck,
How do I feel what, sir?
how do you feel about these elevations?
I think that this is I think it's an improvement to have the decking. And I like that they're, putting these other windows in and taking those octagonal sided windows out. So
Right.
I think it's good.
Judith?
Yeah, I think it's a big improvement.
I'll be right back.
over that. I'm it's very nice. I like it.
Val?
I agree. I like the window configuration.
Steve?
I think it's a good idea.
Bob?
I think it's great.
So it seems like you'll get a rubber stamp on this if you just come in with like a window schedule, or at least call out what's going on, your liking kind, the trim around the windows and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then the deck is a legal issue, so I don't think you're gonna have a problem with us like approving that, but you're going to have to get, we could probably make a call on that, but you can't build the deck
Right.
until you get your variance.
Right. Carrie, are you still there? That you see, this one is dated April 14th. There was a revision done on, let me just see, May 19th, and submitted, which does show the window schedule and the doors and windows.
Is our legal counsel still here?
I hope so.
Henry?
Harry, it was up.
It's Harry.
Is it Henry or is it Henry? Harry. Sorry, Harry. So this is a discussion item. If this gentleman comes up with some sort of window schedule or something that we can sink our teeth in, can we change it to like something we can vote on tonight?
Let me double check. Let's hold off on that until next time before I can confirm for sure.
Okay.
Almost had it.
Okay.
It's not letting me pull it up because it came from a zip line.
Is that the tree?
No, that's actually, those are existing pictures. That's interesting where they came from. Pedro the woodworker.
See what I mean? You don't even really
Yeah.
see.
Right.
I walk by this.
But there was a revised drawing.
When did you send it to me? I don't, because that's what I have
Yeah.
from the 19th from Yvonne.
So, Mr. Architect, it seems like
no.
This is all very favorable. If you just,
All right.
who knows where this was lost in translation, but it sounds like
Okay.
you have like a winner here. You might even
Okay.
get a vote on that deck that needs a variance, which we never do. So I don't know. How
I
that
have
part's
this
gonna go.
from you from the 18th. This is, and it's only one page.
That's is it April 18th or May?
No,
18th?
May 18th.
Val, do you have questions?
That is April 14th.
No,
It is
no
April
question.
14.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
that says, but this is the email from May.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, no, I resent all
detective.
three drawings, the site plan, which showed the skip laurels around the deck, and the drawing, actually, the site plan has a window and door schedule and
Did you email it to me?
yes.
I don't have it. So if you want to email it again, we can. That's what I just showed you is the last thing that I got. And it's an email saying I'm going to call you in a few minutes with a few questions. And there's just that one page of attachment.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm trying not to waste everybody's time here. I think it was the 14th.
I don't know, it sounded like our council said to wait, but yes, if we get this, Dean, then we can go forward, you think?
Yeah, it sounds like to me that everyone here is pretty much in agreement
We
with this
can do the
design.
windows and things at least, right?
Yeah.
And is it a new front door or?
No, it's
Yeah.
existing front
Okay.
door.
So, sir, to Bethany's point, we can't do anything because we don't have an okay from our council how to move forward on this, but it seems
got
like
you.
you have a resounding yay on this,
Okay,
except for whatever legal wrangling you have to do with zoning.
okay.
Which doesn't seem like a
Hopefully
big deal
in-
either.
Right, hopefully in 2 weeks when you come, maybe you'll have the variance and we can just do everything.
No.
Do variances
No?
happen that fast in Sag Harbor? I don't know.
No.
Okay.
You just missed the deadline for the June 15th zoning board meeting,
Oh,
and then
boy.
the next one won't be until July.
Oh,
So,
So you just have to put some fake steps there for a couple of weeks and then you're good to go to put your deck up. After you get approved by everyone.
Yes.
We can start the windows, right? If you get approved
Yeah.
in 2
Yeah.
weeks.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, I mean, let me see, let's just see here. What I want to do here. I found it here. Forward. Include.
I can't move you from a discussion at this point, though.
Oh, you can't? All right,
I cannot.
okay.
I tried.
Hey.
All right. Okay,
I just,
All right.
I love that they want to leave the one-story house again, and
right.
yeah, thank goodness.
Kind of we all look at a project, so we'll see you in 2 weeks and
Okay,
get it done.
okay, now I'm sorry, did they just say that the next agenda is full? Or no?
no.
that's for the
okay.
planning.
Zoning board.
For the
Oh,
zoning.
okay, I got you.
That's a
Okay,
deadline you
okay,
missed.
Zoning,
all right,
zoning.
very good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, enjoy your evening. It was a long day here for you guys, I
All right.
think, a long evening.
Thank you.
4
Yeah.
hours. Listen, I tried to be as mean as I could to make this not a 4-hour meeting and it didn't work.
Yeah, bud.
You're just not a mean guy.
I'm telling you, you know me, start at 4 o'clock.
You know, Bethany, I think we're gonna have to do that.
I think for a while.